Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, copy for all, starting from the Heaven-Defying Comprehension. Chapter 21. Seeing that the sky was getting dark and the cliff was not found, Yi Qing stopped looking. Instead, he took off the baggage he was carrying, put on the night clothes he had specially prepared before, and then turned around and headed towards Zuulan Villa. After a while, he arrived near the villa, and while the patrolling people were passing by, he easily sneaked in. It has to be said that the owners of the Zuulan villa are indeed the servants of the Duan family in Dali. They are not very capable, but they built the villa to be extremely huge and lavish. Yi Qing walked around inside for a while, but didn't find the rooms of the two owners of the villa, Zhu Changeling and Wu Lai. He still kidnapped a guard who was standing guard to figure out the layout of the entire villa. After knocking the guard unconscious, Yi Qing went to Zhu and Wu's respective rooms and went straight to a study room, because this was their shared study room, and there must be secrets hidden in it. Maybe the two secret books of Orchid Point Brushing Hand and Yi Yang Finger are hidden in here. After a while, when Yi Qing came outside the study, she found that the candlelight inside was on, and there were two figures talking about something. If nothing else happens, these two people should be Zhu Changeling and Wu Lai. Originally, Yi Qing planned to steal quietly, but now that Zhu and Wu were still in the study, which ruined his plan, he might as well take the stronghold and control them first, and then ask for the whereabouts of the secret book. Anyway, Zhu Changeling and Wu Lai, according to their performance in the original plot, are really not very good at martial arts. Not to mention, they are now about 5 years earlier than when they appeared in the original plot. If they have the 6th level of acquired cultivation, it is impossible for them to resist Yi Qing. After making a decision in her mind, Yi Qing quickly walked outside the study room without hesitation and opened the door directly. Looking at the two people who were a little shocked, he dodged, came to the two of them, and directly slapped them with his palm, preparing to severely injure them first. But at this moment, Zhu Changeling and Wu Lai knelt down without hesitation and shouted, "Sir, spare your life, we are willing to cooperate." Hearing this, Yi Qing's palm paused for a moment, and finally stopped in front of their heads, but the wind from the palm just now caused Zhu and Wu's old faces to be scratched raw. Seeing the two of them being so understanding, Yi Qing was speechless. Before he even exerted any force, the other party knelt down. He had no sense of accomplishment at all. After 2 or 3 breaths of silence, Yi Qing finally said in a suppressed voice, "Since you two are willing to cooperate, I will spare your lives for the time being. Hand over your ancestral secret book of Zuulan Villa. Now that I have found your head, I know the origins of your two families. I hope you two can be wise and stop playing tricks and giving me some fake martial arts secrets. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless." Hearing Yi Qing's words, Zhu and Wu both replied, "Don't worry, heroes, we will not dare to cheat. If you find that there is something wrong with the secret book, just come to us and we will never resist." After agreeing, the two stood up and walked towards the desk not far away. They picked up the 2 books with account books written on them and handed them back to Yi Qing. The whole process was very skillful and smooth. At the same time, he said, "Please take a look, heroes. These 2 books are the secret books passed down by our ancestors Zhu and Wu, the Yi Yang Finger and the Orchid Acupuncture Hand." Seeing Yi Qing frowning, as if you two were playing tricks on me, Zhu and Wu quickly explained, "My hero, please don't get angry. Open it first and take a look. Don't look at the cover that says, account book, but that's just a disguise. They are really the secret manual of Yi Yang Finger and Orchid Point Brushing Hand." Hearing this, Yi Qing was not polite and immediately opened the 2 account books. Unexpectedly, the covers were really disguised. On the title page, squarely written are the words, Yi Yang Ji, and Orchid Brushing Point Hand. Continuing to open it, there are the specific contents of these 2 techniques, which seem to be very subtle. After just a cursory flip, Yi Qing concluded that these 2 secret books should be genuine. So, after putting the 2 secret books away and putting them in his arms, Yi Qing gave a final warning, "Yes, there seems to be no problem so far. But after I go back and study it carefully, I will confirm that there is no problem, and I will not come to you again. Otherwise, you two will just wait for someone to collect the body." Zhu and Wu said with flattering faces, "Don't worry, heroes, we can vouch for the personality of our ancestors. There is absolutely no problem with these 2 secret books. If there was really a problem, neither of us would be alive now. Yi Qing, who was about to leave, suddenly became interested and asked curiously, "Huh? What do you mean?" The two of them smiled bitterly and replied, "My hero, to be honest, you are not the first person to come to us to ask for the secret book left by our ancestors. As early as 8 years ago, we discovered that there were many thieves who took advantage of our absence from the village to steal secret books. Some were caught by our guards in the village and beaten to death on the spot, but many still managed to escape. Later, perhaps because the two of us were in the village and never went out, all the thieves who came to steal the secret books disappeared. Unexpectedly, in the past 2 years, there were a total of more than 20 waves of people sneaking into our village at night. On average, there was 1 wave every month. They found us and forcibly asked for the secret books handed down from our ancestors. Naturally, we refused at first and started fighting. However, their strength is no worse than the two of us, and their numbers are greater than ours. We will naturally not be opponents in a fight. If there weren't hundreds of guards in the village, and they were afraid of killing us and getting hurt themselves, I'm afraid we would have died a long time ago. So, later we also figured out that as long as the person who comes to steal the secret book handed down from our ancestors is no worse than us, then we will fully cooperate. To this end, we also wrote down several books of One Yang Finger and Orchid Finger Point Hand, disguised as account books, and placed them on the desk in such a conspicuous place, no one should care. If someone is powerful and wants to kill us without saying a word, and then looks for the secret room in the study by themselves, then they will only miss the secret book and be trapped in the secret room. If someone like you, the hero, comes and is willing to spare our lives, we will naturally be willing to hand over the secret book to the hero." After Zhu Changeling and Wu Lai finished talking, Yi Qing twitched the corner of her mouth and almost burst into laughter. No wonder the two of them went from kneeling down to getting the secret book so skillfully, smoothly and in one go. It turns out that they have gone through this process more than 20 times. There is no doubt that the thieves in the early stage and the robbers in the later stage mentioned by Zhu and Wu were all Pioneer College entrance examination students from Blue Star. Otherwise, how could it be such a coincidence that they started stealing 8 years ago? Are you going straight to Yiyangji and Orchid's acupuncture hand? And except for the pioneers of Blue Star, most people in this world don't know their true origins even if they know that Lian Lianzhuang has a Yang finger and an orchid finger. Otherwise, can Zhu Lian Villa still exist? I'm afraid the secret book has been taken away a long time ago, and the village has been destroyed and killed. After all, the overall strength of the current chain store is really too weak. The two strongest Zhu Changeling and Wu Lai were only at the early stage of the acquired 5th level, and this was still the current situation. 8 years ago, they were probably only at the acquired 4th level, or even the acquired 3rd level. Yi Qing thought they were at the 6th level of the acquired world before, but he overestimated them. When I was running around in the village before, I also noticed that most of the guards in the village were the 1st and 2nd level acquired, and there were not many people at the 3rd level. There is not one person who has acquired the 4th level of the day after tomorrow. This shows how low the overall strength of Zhu Lian Villa is. No wonder it can only dominate in this small place. No wonder he was selected as a novice experience baby by many college entrance examination pioneers, and they were harvested one after another. But it's normal if you think about it carefully. They are weak, but they also have innate level peerless skills. If many pioneers don't recruit them, who will they recruit? The only thing that Yi Qing didn't expect was that there were so many pioneers who had stolen or snatched the Yiyangji and Orchid acupoint brushing hands. The total number of people was at least 100, accounting for 10 of the number of pioneers in this world. 1%. It seems that in another 10 years or so, during the future Battle of Guangmingding, there will probably be a large number of pioneers who know how to use Yang finger and Orchid point brushing hand to cause trouble. Maybe we don't have to wait until then. In more than a year's time, it will be Zhang Sanfang's 100th birthday. Maybe someone will take the opportunity to cause trouble. After all, the pioneers all know the plot of Yishan. Even if their qualifications are as ordinary as those of Zhu and Wu, they can still find various ways to take advantage of the situation and obtain resources for practice. Or go out and look for opportunities to quickly enhance your cultivation and strength. Back to the subject, Yi Qing, who had eaten a big melon and satisfied her curiosity, did not stay any longer. She immediately showed her situation, jumped over the wall, and disappeared from the eyes of Zhu and Wu, making them both breathe a big sigh of relief. There was no way. The sense of oppression Yi Qing brought to them was too strong, far more than the previous thieves and robbers. Otherwise, how could they tell their scandalous things, in the hope of winning Yi Qing's sympathy? On the other side, after Yi Qing left Liangwan village, she went directly down the mountain and returned to the inn room in the small town, and began to read the 2 secret books of Orchid Acupuncture Hand and Yi Yang Finger. You have read the Orchid Acupuncture Hand, and you have understood the Orchid Acupuncture Hand to perfection. You find that there seems to be room for improvement, and you carefully understand and deduce it. The deduction is successful. You have obtained the method of tapping acupuncture points through the air. Within 3 feet, you can tap acupuncture points through the air, and it is impossible to defend against it. In an instant, a huge amount of memory came out, but Yi Qing did not rush to digest it and check it, but continued to watch Yi Yangji. You read Yi Yangji, and you understand Yi Yangji to perfection. You find that the 1 Yang finger has extraordinary potential. It can be used to attack forcefully, and it can be healed when retreated. You carefully understand the offensive aspect and continue to deduce it. The deduction is successful. You get the pure Yang sword Qi finger. You carefully understand the aspect of healing. You sense the power of pure Yang vitality, and you continue to deduce. The deduction is successful. You have understood a little bit of the mystery of life. You find that this trace of the mystery of life seems to be integrated into the eternal green technique and complements it, so you deduce it more seriously. The deduction is successful. You have greatly improved the quality and power of the eternal green technique, and you have achieved a breakthrough in the eternal green technique. Suddenly, far more memories than before flooded into Yi Qing's mind. A quarter of an hour later, when he had completely digested the 2 pieces of information and memories in his mind, he was so excited. This trip was so worth it, and the benefits gained are probably not much worse than the magical powers of swordsmanship I obtained in the Sword Demon Valley, which can break through all kinds of magic with 1 sword. First, the Orchid Acupoint Brushing Hand, under the influence of the Heaven-Defying Understanding, was upgraded to the top innate and peerless martial arts method of acupuncture through the air. As the name suggests, after getting started in the practice, you can do acupuncture through the air, which makes people hard to guard against. If you can practice it perfectly, you can even hit the enemy's acupuncture points from a distance of up to 3 feet. It is considered a powerful acupuncture skill. Then Yi Yangji, unfortunately, it is not a martial arts golden elixir level secret skill, but an innate level secret skill. However, it belongs to the top batch among the innate level secret arts, and is much stronger than the Tong Sect's 7-injury fist. The Yi Yang finger is divided into 9 levels in total. If it is cultivated to the highest level of the first level of perfection, its power will not even be much worse than the power of the golden elixir level of martial arts. From this point of view, Yi Yangji's advanced martial arts 6 meridians divine sword must be a unique skill at the golden elixir level of martial arts. Although Yi Qing didn't get the 6 meridians divine sword, it didn't matter. Because after his Heaven-Defying Comprehension was activated, he deduced a top-notch martial arts golden elixir level secret skill, pure Yang sword Qi, from Yi Yang finger. Its power is no worse than that of Dugu 9 swords, and it can just make up for the weakness of Dugu 9 swords in long-range attack. In addition, the pure Yang vitality power contained in Yi Yang finger actually allowed him to advance to the level of his current major internal skill, the Eternal Youth skill. This is an unexpected surprise. Although the previous eternal skill was a unique internal skill at the martial arts Yuenshin level, it was only a junior martial arts Yuenshin secret. Now after being promoted, it has become an intermediate level. Yi Qing couldn't wait to give it a try. After being promoted to the Eternal Green Kung Fu, not only the practice speed was 30% faster than before, but the quality of the Eternal Qi cultivated was also improved by 30%. This increased his chances of reaching the realm of martial arts Yuenshin before the end of the production task, and at the same time, his ability to fight beyond levels was further improved. After practicing in the inn all night, Yi Qing rushed towards the location of Zuulan Villa again early in the morning. Yesterday, he searched the 5-mile radius with Lian Villa as the center, but found no cliff. Today, he plans to search the environment within a 10-mile radius to see if he can find it. If he still can't find it, then continue to expand the search range. Time flies by and it's already night in a blink of an eye. Yi Qing, who still found nothing, could only return to the inn in the small town at the foot of the mountain, practice the eternal art, and wait for the day to come. As the saying goes, the emperor paid off his hard work and spent 7 days. After Yi Qing expanded the search area to a radius of 20 miles, he finally found a cliff. Because of the fog, you can't see the bottom from the top down, and you don't know the depth of this cliff. In this case, it is difficult to find the large bluestone protruding from the cliff. If it were any other pioneer, they would have been blind. Unless they prepared tough ropes and various equipment for climbing snow-capped mountains and cliffs, it would be difficult for them to get down. But Yi Qing is different. He is an innate strong man, and he has also cultivated an innate physical body. His hands and feet are comparable to ordinary magical weapons. He can be used as tools and inserted directly into cliffs. I saw him randomly choosing a location, leaping, and jumping off the cliff. At the same time, Yi Qing activated the Dragon Tiger Golden Body skill, and his whole body exuded a faint golden light. The next moment, he stretched out his hands, made a knife hand gesture, and inserted it directly into the snow-capped mountain wall, stopping his falling. Then, his body clung to the snow mountain rock wall. His limbs kept retracting and inserting into the rock wall below, and he descended step by step towards the bottom of the cliff. After descending about 10 feet in height and passing through the layer of clouds and fog that obscured his sight, Yi Qing observed carefully for a while and finally found a bluestone about 10 feet in size, covered with a thick layer of snow. Its location was more than 200 meters to his right and more than 20 meters below. Without any hesitation, Yi Qing used his hands and feet to move step by step on the snowy mountain wall. It only took a short while to successfully land on the big bluestone. But before he could show his happy expression, he realized something was wrong with the passage in front of him. He remembered that the passage in the original plot was very narrow and could only allow the half-grown Zhongwuji to turn around, but not the adult Zhu changeling. But now, the passage he saw was big enough for an adult to walk upright normally. If there is nothing wrong with this, Yi Qing's name will be written backwards. A bad premonition arose spontaneously. Could it be that he was late? Has a pioneer arrived first and taken away the 9-yang manual? Thinking of this, Yi Qing walked quickly in, and after advancing for tens of meters, he successfully came to a beautiful and green valley. There are various small animals running around in the valley, including a large number of monkeys, following a white ape jumping in a jungle. There are dozens of peach trees not far away, covered with many big and red peaches. A little further away, there is a cold pool braving the cold air, with small fish swimming in it. It all looks so beautiful, but unfortunately, there is a small Mongolian tent, some pots and pans, and traces of human life near Hanton. What this situation means is self-evident. Although Yi Qing had thought about such a possibility before coming here, when such a thing really happened before his eyes, he still felt very regretful. This is the 9-yang manual. It is no worse than the wood spirit Chengqing Gong. It may even be better. If he can get it, through his incredible understanding, he might be able to deduce a martial arts soul-level secret. What a pity, what a pity. After sighing for a while, Yi Qing did not leave directly, but stayed in this valley temporarily. Because whether it is the big peach or the fish in the cold pond, they all contain rich vitality of heaven and earth. They can be called spiritual peaches and spiritual fish. They are considered to be good natural materials and earthly treasures. Moreover, the dosage is large and the tube is full. If taken in large quantities, it can also play a part in cleaning the muscles and cutting down the marrow. Zhongwuji was able to master the 9-yang manual in just 5 years and achieve a breakthrough in innateness. Whether it was a spiritual peach or a spiritual fish, it was all due to his indispensable contribution. After Yi Qing left the Kongtong sect, he only brought a small amount of elixirs to assist in his practice, and he finished them within a few days. If he hadn't swallowed a large amount of snake gall and snake meat from the bodhisattva snake in the forest of 10,000 snakes, his current cultivation level would probably still be at the first level of the innate level. Nowadays, there are a lot of natural treasures in front of us. Wouldn't it be disrespectful to not eat them? So, Yi Qing stayed in this valley for more than half a month, eating more than 90% of the spiritual peaches and spiritual fish before leaving with satisfaction. This caused the Shantian true qi in his body to surge by another 30%, and his cultivation level was raised from the early stage of the second level of Shantian to the middle stage. Half a month later, Yi Qing, who was riding a horse through the Kunlun Mountains, finally arrived at the Guangmingding summit of the Mingjiao General Altar. In order to avoid alerting the Mingjiao guards hiding around Guangmingding, he simply released the horse, took dry food, and headed towards Guangmingding ahead alone. Not long after, he arrived at the bottom of Guangmingding Mountain. After avoiding the guards along the way, he easily reached the halfway point of the mountain. Perhaps there is still a long distance between the mountainside and the main altar at the top of the mountain. There are no guards here, allowing Yi Qing to easily search for the location of the secret passage. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Yi Qing successfully found the secret passage and entered it. But soon, he came out cursing, because there was no parchment inside that recorded the great shift of the universe. Obviously, other pioneers got here first. After experiencing the bottom of Jingshan Peak and the secret passage of Guangming Peak, Yi Qing understood one truth, that is, luck will not only favor him. Although he has been in the Kongtong sect for more than 8 years and has become a strong innate level expert, he has also missed the opportunity to learn top innate level secrets such as the 9 Yang Manual and the Great Shift of the Universe. Therefore, the various opportunities in each dungeon world, when many pioneers compete at the same time, are entirely available to those who are quick, but not to those who are slow. It seems that in the future, when he enters other dungeon worlds, he will grab all the opportunities he can. He must not hesitate or leave them for later. Because if you don't wait until later, you will be robbed by other pioneers. After leaving the bright summit of the Mingjiao General Altar, Yi Qing headed towards the next goal of his trip, which was the Vajra Gate of the Western regions. He went to the Vajra sect of the Western region not for the martial arts skills of this sect, but for a magic medicine for treating trauma, Black Jade Intermittent Ointment. It would be great if he could get its prescription. Whether it is the healing chapter of the 9 Yin Manual or the Yang Finger of Duan of Dali, although they all have powerful healing functions, they are mainly used to treat internal injuries. For external injuries, such as broken muscles and bones, the effect is average. Even if Yi Qing's own everlasting skill has extraordinary healing effects, it can only heal himself, but cannot help others recover. The effect of Black Jade Intermittent Ointment is that it is an ointment specially used to treat trauma. It can heal any broken tendons, ligaments, bones and other organs, and the effect is excellent. In the original plot, Yu Sengxia of Wudang 7 was cured of his hands and feet by this Black Jade Intermittent Ointment. Yi Qing wants to seize the Black Jade Intermittent Ointment and its prescription for 3 purposes. The first purpose is to prepare a gift for Zhang Sanfang's 100th birthday. With the Black Jade Intermittent Ointment, Yu Dian, the 3 heroes of Wudang, can recover. He can also gain the friendship of Zhang Sanfang, and has a high probability of obtaining the unique skills of Tai Chi sword, etc. created by him. The second purpose is to leave the magic medicine for treating trauma to the Kongtong sect. The third purpose is to bring the prescription back to Blue Star for research, to see if we can find substitutes for various medicinal materials and successfully develop Black Jade Intermittent Ointment for sale. This is also his most important purpose, and it is the trump card he uses to accumulate wealth and cultivation resources in Blue Star. After all, he is just an ordinary family in the Blue Star Dragon Kingdom. If he does not have enough wealth and resources, wouldn't his cultivation and strength remain at the same level while staying in the Blue Star? Closer to home, since the King Kong Gate in the western regions is far away from the Kunlun Mountains, it took Yi Qing a month to reach the King Kong Gate on a newly purchased horse. In order not to expose his identity, Yi Qing still took action at night, after putting on night clothes and a bandit-like hood. As the saying goes, it is easier to practice in public. The generation of Huo Gong Tutuo, the founder of the self-created sect of the Vajra sect in the western regions, took refuge in Yuanting and received massive resources from Yuanting. The overall strength is extremely strong. After Yi Qing sneaked into the Vajra Gate, he found that there were many disciples from the 4th to 6th levels of the acquired world, as well as more than 10 elders from the 7th level of the acquired world and above. With such strength, even today's Kongtong sect, excluding Yi Qing himself, is still inferior. As far as Yi Qing knows, there are still some masters of the Vajra sect who are working for the Ruyang Palace in the capital of Yuanting. This shows how strong the overall strength of the Vajra sect is. In addition, he also vaguely felt that there seemed to be the aura of an innate power deep in the Vajra gate. As Yi Qing went deeper, he felt the power of the innate realm became stronger, which made him sure that there are indeed innate warriors in charge of the Vajra sect now. Fortunately, he didn't feel much threat from the power emanating from the other party. So, after thinking for a while, he decisively ran towards the innate strongmen of the Vajra sect. In Yi Qing's opinion, the finished black jade intermittent plaster is just that, and it may be stored anywhere in the Vajra gate, but the most important thing, the black jade intermittent plaster prescription, will only be available to the strongest of the sect. Guard. And who is the strongest? Needless to say, a moment later, when Yi Qing came to the area where the innate warrior was, he discovered that this was actually the treasure house of the Vajra sect. From this point of view, the innate strong men of the Vajra sect are guarding the treasure house. This is really convenient for Yi Qing. After he obtains the prescription for the black jade intermittent ointment, he can plunder the treasures here. Thinking of this, Yi Qing flashed and came to the door of the treasure house. Before the two guards of the 7th level of the day after tomorrow opened their mouths, he clicked several points from the air and sealed their acupuncture points, making them unable to move or move. Say. This is the method of acupuncture in the air that he deduced from the orchid acupuncture hand. In the past 2 months, he has practiced it to a perfect state. He can tap acupoints from a distance of 3 feet, making it difficult for people to guard against. Moreover, there was very little movement in the air, and the innate powerhouse sitting in the treasure house did not sense what was going on outside at all. In this way, things become more feasible. I saw Yi Qing push open the treasure house door and walk in normally, then turned around and closed the door, and then walked generously towards a middle-aged monk sitting cross-legged in the middle of the treasure house, practicing with his eyes closed. Hearing the footsteps approaching, the monk did not open his eyes, but asked as usual, "What did the master ask you to pick up?" After the monk finished speaking, not only did he not hear the visitor's answer, but he heard the footsteps disappear. He suddenly felt something bad and immediately opened his eyes to look. In an instant, he saw a man in black, holding a long sword, stabbing towards his heart at an extremely fast speed. Seeing this scene, the monk's eyes were about to burst and he had no time to dodge. He could only shoot out with one palm at the fastest speed, Vajra wave palm. Ah! With a scream, the monk's palm was pierced by Yi Qing's sword, and the tip of the sword even hit the monk's shoulder, causing him great pain. Fortunately, as an innate strong man, he still has endurance. The next moment, the monk endured the pain and let his other palm strike out. He still used the Vajra wave palm, but the palm power that exploded was obviously several times more powerful than the previous hasty palm. Even Yi Qing didn't dare to ignore it. He stretched out his other hand, slapped it with a palm, and collided with the Vajra wave palm. Hearing a loud bang, Yi Qing was knocked back 7 or 8 steps, and the monk was directly knocked away. However, he also took this opportunity to free his pierced palm from the sword and regain his freedom. "Who are you, an innate strong man? Not only did you sneak into my Vajra sect treasure house, but you also pretended to be a disciple of my Vajra sect and attacked me secretly. This is simply a lack of martial ethics and brings disgrace to us and other innate strong men." Hearing the monk's question, Yi Qing did not answer, but waved the long sword in his hand and stabbed at the opponent again. When the monk saw this, he felt extremely aggrieved. He even felt that he had never been so aggrieved in his entire life. I think he is a powerful person at the 3rd level of the Xian Zhen Qi realm. He is only 1 step away from the Xian Tian Qi realm. Looking at the entire world, he is also among the best. He is the most powerful being in the Vajra sect of the Western region. Even though the 2 senior brothers above him have only broken through Shantian a few years ago, their strength is not as good as his. As for the leader of the Diamond sect, although he is his elder, his qualifications are even worse and he has not yet broken through the innate. Otherwise, why would the sect owner send him to guard the most important treasure house of the Vajra sect? On weekdays, every time the sect master sends someone to the treasure house to take anything, his consent is required. As time went by, he became more relaxed. Relying on his own strength and knowledge of everything in the treasure house, he could command people to complete tasks every time without opening his eyes. Unexpectedly, the car overturned this time. Not only did the visitor sneak into the Vajra gate, but he also used some method to defeat the 2 guards at the 7th level of acquired life at the door without making any sound. Then, he pretended to be a disciple of the Vajra sect, walked in openly, walked not far in front of him, and launched a sneak attack. If the person who made the sneak attack was a junior in the acquired realm and launched a sneak attack, he would admit it. After all, when a warrior from the day after tomorrow fights a warrior from the innate world, if he doesn't launch a sneak attack, he is looking for death. But you are already a strong person with the 2nd level of innateness, and you actually do this. Are you still talking about martial ethics? Thinking of this, the extremely aggrieved monk suddenly became angry. Looking at Yi Qing, who stabbed him with another sword, he roared, "You little thief, die! Vajra wave is like the palm of your hand." Judging from its power, it was twice as powerful as the previous 2nd palm. If the power of the 2nd palm is comparable to the peak level of the 4th innate level, then this palm can reach the level of the 5th innate level. I don't know if this is his true strength or the reason for some secret technique. It's a pity that he obviously underestimated Yi Qing. The previous 2nd palm could knock Yi Qing back 7 or 8 steps. That was because Yi Qing didn't want to reveal his identity. He didn't use the Tong sect's various kung fu techniques, nor did he use the perfectly practiced 7-injury fist. He just used his strong innate chi to shoot an ordinary palm. As for the martial arts skills other than those of the Tong sect, Yi Qing also acquired the orchid acupuncture hand, the yang finger, as well as the space distance acupuncture method and the pure yang sword energy deduced by the heaven-defying understanding. But the time for acquiring these 4 skills was too short, less than 3 months. Among them, the orchid acupuncture hand is the least difficult to practice, but there is no need to practice it because there is a better method of acupuncture in the air. In the past 2 months, Yi Qing spent half of her time practicing the Dugu 9 swords, and the remaining half of her time devoted to practicing the acupuncture method through the air, and successfully perfected it. As for the one yang finger and pure yang sword chi, they are more difficult to practice than the acupuncture method through space, and they haven't had time to practice yet. Now, facing the monk's 3rd Vajra wave palm, Yi Qing continued to silently perform the breaking palm style of Dugu 9 swords while flying. Its power far exceeds the previous ordinary palm, and is comparable to the 6th level of Shantian, but the power is condensed but not released. When the sword tip was very close to the monk's palm, Yi Qing moved his wrist slightly, causing the sword tip to adjust its direction slightly, and stabbed towards the weak point of Vajra wave palm. Suddenly, the originally strong and vigorous palm force was easily defeated by the broken palm sword energy attached to the sword, like being sliced into tofu. And the palm wrapped in the power of Vajra wave palm was directly pierced by the sword, causing the monk to scream again. However, this monk seemed to be a ruthless person. Although he screamed repeatedly, it was just to attract Yi Qing's attention. His other hand, however, made a secret palm strike. It was still like a diamond wave palm, and the palm power was restrained. If you don't sense it carefully, you won't be able to detect it at all. It's just that Yi Qing has practiced the Eternal Green technique and the Dugu 9 swords, and is extremely sensitive to the changes in chi. The Vajra wave palm is an external palm technique. No matter how hard he restrains it, it cannot be silent. Therefore, Yi Qing easily discovered the monk's small movements and immediately struck out with a palm. It was still an ordinary palm. Its power was only at the peak level of the 4th level of innate power, and it collided with the Vajra wave palm. But this time, he stood still, unmoving, while the monk was still knocked away. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood again, struggled on the ground a few times, but was unable to stand up because of his serious injuries. Faced with a similar scene and different results, Yi Qing was not too surprised. Because the monk's injury was too serious, the palm used to perform the Vajra wave palm had been pierced before, resulting in limited power he could exert. In the collision with Yi Qing, it is understandable that he was completely defeated. Looking at the monk again, he was vomiting blood, his face was pale, and the palms of his hands were pierced by swords. How could he be so miserable? Yi Qing did not feel sympathy or relax his vigilance because of the monk's serious injury. Judging from the previous battle, the opponent is hiding. Therefore, Yi Qing went directly to the position 3 feet away from the monk, and then used his unique acupuncture technique to tap several acupuncture points on the monk's body, making him unable to move. Taking acupoints from a distance. The monk's eyes widened and he said in disbelief, you actually know the legendary acupuncture point in the air. He finally knew why the two guards guarding the entrance to the treasure house made no sound or warning. The two of them are just acquired warriors. Their acquired internal strength can't stop the innate strong one's acupuncture points. Only those who are also innate warriors have innate true energy to protect their bodies. Even if they hit the right acupoints in the air, they won't have much effect. At most, I feel a slight numbness in the acupuncture points, which affects my ability to perform. Unless, like him, you suffer a serious injury and are unable to activate your true energy to protect your body, you will be easily hit on acupuncture points and unable to move. After thinking about this, the monk spoke again. Since you didn't kill me directly, but used acupoints to touch me, I guess you have other purposes. Tell me, what exactly do you want to do? As long as you are willing to let me live, I will fully cooperate. Hearing this, Yi Qing smiled slightly. Oh, really? Full cooperation? What if I want black jade intermittent cream in its prescription? As soon as these words came out, the monk showed a clear look. I have suspected it for a long time, but I didn't expect that I came here for these two things. The most precious things in our Vajra sect are not the powerful Vajra finger and Vajra wave palm that were modified by the founder, but the black jade intermittent ointment and its prescription. I will personally protect them. It would be really weird for an innately strong person like you to come straight to me if it wasn't for these two things. However, I still have a question that I would like to ask Your Excellency. The black jade intermittent ointment is extremely precious even in our Vajra sect. The sect leader has issued a ban and prohibits the disciples of the Vajra sect from spreading the news. Otherwise, they will be killed without mercy. I wonder, Your Excellency, where did you learn about it? Yi Qing chuckled. It's okay to tell you. Your diamond sect has taken refuge in Yuanting, so the news about the black jade intermittent cream is not a secret in Yuanting. I don't need to say more about the rest, right? What he said was naturally false. After all, he had to find a reason, right? It is impossible to tell the other person directly that he has read the story of Heaven and Dragon Sword and knows it from the original plot. Therefore, Yi Qing decisively put the blame on Yuanting, and also deliberately made it more ambiguous and secretive to make the reason sound more authentic. In fact, strictly speaking, it is not considered a scapegoat, because in the original plot, Zhao Min, who leaked the existence of the black jade intermittent ointment, was from the Ruyang prince's palace in Yuanting, wasn't he? Yuanting. The monk's pupils shrank. He was obviously very surprised, and his face was uncertain, as if he was thinking about something. Seeing the monk's appearance, Yi Qing felt very funny. She didn't know what the other person was thinking about. Could it be that he really thought that Yuanting sent someone to deliberately leak it to him to knock on the diamond gate? If the monk really fell out with Yuanting because of this, it would be a bit fun. After a while, the monk said solemnly, "Thank you for informing me. I will tell you the location of the black jade intermittent ointment and its prescription. Please keep your promise and let me live after you get it." Yi Qing promised. "Don't worry, as long as I get these two things, it doesn't matter if I spare your life. But it's just limited to sparing your life. As the eagle dogs of Yuanting, you and Jinganjman have done countless bad things for Yuanting and hurt many Han people directly or indirectly. It can be said that you have done many evil things. Then I cripple your martial arts and meridians all over your body, chop off your 5 limbs, and feed them to the dogs. Isn't that too much?" Of course, the last 2 paragraphs were spoken by Yi Qing in her heart and not out loud. Otherwise, this monk would rather die than surrender. Because according to what Yi Qing said, he might as well be dead. The monk nodded. "We are both innate strong men, I believe you will abide by your promise. I'm going to tell you right now, the black jade intermittent ointment is in the southeast corner of this treasure house, and there are a total of 10 palm-sized jade bottles. Despite their small quantity, each jade bottle of black jade intermittent ointment contains 3 portions. Each portion can be applied evenly to the entire body. If you just use it to paint individual limbs, it will last a long time. As for the prescription, there is a small underground treasure house where I just sat cross-legged. The prescription for the black jade intermittent ointment, as well as the top heavenly materials and earthly treasures obtained by my Vajra sect, are all in it. Your Excellency, just take them all," Yi Qing said. "Okay, just wait here. After I get the black jade intermittent ointment and its prescription, I will detoxify your acupuncture points and spare your life." After saying that, he ran towards the southeast corner of the treasure house. After looking at the place, I found 10 small jade bottles. Although I don't know if they are black jade intermittent ointment, as long as I find an opportunity in the future and test it on animals or Yuanting soldiers, it will be clear. At the worst, you can also go to Butterfly Valley Medical Immortal Hu Qingnu to identify it. Today's Hu Qingnu is still more than 5 years away from the time in the original plot. As long as Yi Qing goes there within these 5 years, I believe that the other party will be interested in black jade intermittent ointment and its prescription. Moreover, it's okay even if I can't go within 5 years. Because in the original plot, Hu Qingnu and his wife did die on the body of Dai Qizi, the purple-shirted Dragon King. But now that there are so many pioneers coming, some of the pioneers who have joined the Ming Cult may not let such a valuable person die. Although they can't defeat Dai Qizi, they can still take advantage of the situation. As long as we find the right time and tell Yang Xiao, White-Browed Eagle King, Green-Winged Bat King and other high-ranking officials of the Ming Cult that Dai Qizi wants to kill Hu Qingnu and his wife, they can still save Hu Qingnu and his wife. These thoughts flashed through Yi Qing's mind. He looked around and soon found a large sack. As quickly as possible, he emptied the contents of the sack, then put all 10 small jade bottles in, and then walked unhurriedly to the place where the monk was sitting cross-legged. He took the futon away and tapped the ground with his fingers. Sure enough, he heard a hollow, bang, sound. After some exploration, Yi Qing found the right direction and lifted it hard. He easily lifted a board, revealing a downward step. Visually, it was quite long, about 10 meters deep into the ground. He stepped down, reached the end of the steps, pushed the door open, and immediately saw a 10-square-meter room with several large boxes placed inside. After opening them all, most of them were gold and silver jewelry. It seemed that this diamond gate was quite wealthy. Inside a box, there are some small boxes neatly placed with labels on them. They are all ginseng that is over 100 years old. There is even a 1,000-year-old ginseng and a Tiantian snow lotus. There was also a box with only a large piece of paper filled with handwriting. Yi Qing took a quick look and saw that it was the prescription for the black jade intermittent ointment that he had been thinking about, as well as the method of making it. Just when he was happy, he suddenly smelled the burning smell of something burning, which gave him a bad premonition. Could it be that something unexpected happened to the treasure house above? Turning around and looking towards the steps, Yi Qing suddenly saw a thick smoke slowly coming. Seeing this scene, his expression changed, and he realized that something had really happened to the treasure house on the ground, and someone was setting fire to it. Could it be that in the short quarter of an hour he was counting the big boxes in the basement, someone discovered that he had broken into the treasure house? Or is it that the monk just shouted for help and summoned the disciples of the Vajra sect? However, this underground treasure house is not far from the top. If the monk really wants to cry out for help, there is no way he will not hear it. It was probably the Vajra sect disciples who came to the treasure house to get the treasures, only to realize something was wrong, and then the monks told them the reason, and finally set fire to the treasure house. I can only say that I am a bit unlucky, and I should have also tapped the mute point for the monk before coming down. Otherwise, even if a disciple of the Vajra sect discovers what happened in the treasure house, the monk will not be able to tell the truth. At most, he will take the monk away without setting fire to the treasure house. I originally planned to go through the treasure house of the Diamond Gate to see if I could find any other good things. But now that there is a fire above, I have to give up this idea. Thinking of this, Yi Qing couldn't care too much. He folded the prescriptions in his hands and put them into his arms. Then he put all the boxes containing heavenly materials and earthly treasures into the big sack. Just as he was about to leave, he thought about it, grabbed several handfuls of gold and silver jewelry, and threw them into the sack. This time I left the Kongtong sect with limited money. I bought 2 good horses one after another. I have spent almost all my money, so I can just add some more from here. When Yi Qing finished all this, the thick smoke from the fire above had completely drifted down, filling the underground treasure house. He even smelled the smell of poison in the thick smoke. Could it be that the people from the Vajra sect not only set fire to burn him, but also mixed it with poison to stun him? It's so disrespectful of martial ethics. Fortunately, I have already cultivated my physical body to the innate realm, and it is at the second innate level. Most of the drugs and poisons in this copy world have no effect on me. Otherwise, it would be really difficult for me to deal with this combination of punches from the Vajra sect. I just don't know who in the Vajra sect gave the order, so I dare to deal with myself like this. After you leave safely with these things in the big sack, come back to settle the score with them. Yi Qing made up her mind, no longer hesitated, and immediately followed the steps to the treasure trove on the ground. At the same time, he also activated the Dragon Tiger Golden Body skill, causing his whole body to emit a light wall of golden light, shrouding the sack in his hand. With the barrier of this golden light wall, the fire above would not harm the sack at all. A few breaths later, when Yi Qing returned to the treasure house on the ground, he saw that the entire treasure house was blazing with flames, and a large number of things placed in the treasure house were burning. Coupled with the thick smoke mixed with the drug, an ordinary innate warrior would have to spend a lot of innate energy to resist the flames and smoke in order to break out of the treasure house. But Yi Qing didn't have this need. He came to the treasure house gate in a hurry. Looking at the closed door, he was not too surprised and slapped it with his palm. With a loud bang, the solid door instantly fell apart, revealing the scene outside. Within a 3-foot radius of the treasure house, a large amount of wood was piled up and burning, blocking his way. Yi Qing's expression remained unchanged as she walked outside step by step. All the obstacles she encountered were either slapped away or kicked away, and finally she cleared a safe route amidst the blazing flames. As the saying goes, revenge should be done on the spot. Originally, he was planning to massacre the Vajra sect disciples surrounding the place after coming out, so as to vent his anger, but he didn't expect that there was no one around the treasure house. Even the candlelight in the entire Vajra gate has been extinguished, and it looks pitch black. Only the treasure house is bright. Seeing this scene, Yi Qing's mouth twitched. This disciple of the Vajra sect is really weird, is he so stubborn? Although he was sure that the disciples of the Vajra sect were hiding in every corner of the darkness, silently observing here, he was too lazy to look for anyone in this dark night without stars or moonlight. He directly used Qinggong and left with the big sack in his hand. He planned to wait a few days and then come back quietly to find the person who set the fire and drug the person behind the scenes, as well as the monk Gangxiang, and liquidate them. Although he had never asked the monk's name, in the previous fight, Yi Qing had already guessed the monk's origin from the opponent's powerful Vajra palm. This monk is none other than the Vajra Gate Gangxiang who secretly attacked Zhang Sanfeng in the original plot and used the Shaolin Temple's outer magic power, Vajra Wave Palm, to severely injure Zhang Sanfeng. Don't think that just because Gangxiang was slapped to death by Zhang Sanfeng, you would think that he was no longer powerful. If it were the two elders Xuanming and Gangxiang, he would be killed just like Gangxiang if Zhang Sanfeng slapped him on the forehead. In fact, throughout the 100 years that Zhang Sanfeng went from the Divine Eagle era to the Yishan era, the only serious injury he suffered was when he was attacked by Gangxiang. He once personally admitted that he had to rest for 3 months after the incident. This shows how powerful Gangxiang's Vajra wave is like palm. In addition, Zhao Min sent people to sneak attack on Zhang Sanfeng. He did not choose any other fresh faces except Zanming, but only chose the Prime Minister. It is also enough to show that Gang Zhang's martial arts should be second only to the two elders Zanming, not much worse than the two elders Zanming alone. Now, there are still about 10 years before Zhang Sanfeng is attacked by Gangxiang in the future. The monk in the Vajra Gate's treasury is at the 3rd innate level. In 10 years, he can at least break through to the 4th innate level, or even the 5th innate level. When the time comes, if he desperately uses his secret technique and activates the Vajra Wave Palm to attack in a sneak attack, he will indeed be able to seriously injure Zhang Sanfeng. That's why Yi Qing guessed the monk's identity, that is Gangxiang. At this moment, in a certain courtyard of the Vajra Gate, Gangxiang and the senior officials of the Vajra Gate were all hiding here, silently paying attention to the situation at the treasure house. When they saw Yi Qing's body glowing with golden light as she walked away calmly, her face turned ferocious, and she gritted her teeth and said, "Is this the Shaolin Temple's indestructible body magic? What a Shaolin Temple! First, they insulted me, the patriarch of the Vajra Gate, Huo Gong Tutuo, and then sent people to steal the most precious black jade intermittent ointment and its prescription, and almost killed me. Together these old and new grudges are combined, I vow to make your Shaolin temple look good. Uncle Master, please quickly send someone to take me to the capital of Yuanting to find 2 senior brothers and ask the people in Yuanting for an explanation. How dare you let people leak the existence of black jade intermittent paste to Shaolin Temple? After I recover from my injuries in Dadu, I will discuss with my 2 senior brothers how to take revenge on the Shaolin Temple. Seeing the extremely angry Gang Shang, the leader of the Vajra sect thought for a moment and replied, Nephew, you are suffering a heavy blow now, so I'll lead someone to escort you to Dadu in person. Although my martial arts skills are not as good as yours, I am still an extremely strong person at the 9th level of the day after tomorrow. Without innate talent, few people can beat me. Upon hearing this, Shang showed gratitude. Thank you so much, uncle. It was inevitable that the night would be long and dreamy, so that night the master of the Vajra sect led a group of good men from the sect, drove a carriage, escorted Prime Minister Gang, and left the Vajra sect towards the capital of Yuanting. On the other side, Yi Qing was carrying a large sack and had returned to the inn in a small town dozens of miles away from the Vajra gate. He first took off his night clothes and put them in his baggage. He might need them later, and then he began to count tonight's harvest. The first one was the prescription for black jade intermittent ointment. Yi Qing read it carefully and kept all the words firmly in his mind before putting the prescription away again and preparing to leave it to the Kongtong sect in the future. It's a pity that the prescription is different from martial arts, and it does not trigger the enlightenment to deduce a new prescription with better effect. Perhaps it is also because he does not have much knowledge in medicine. After all, the original martial arts was to learn from the heaven, earth, nature and all things, and observe the operation of the rules of the world. Even if Yi Qing did not have much martial arts knowledge reserve, he could suddenly realize the powerful martial arts. But medicine is different. It is necessary to understand the pharmacological properties of various medicinal materials, etc., in order to use them rationally and create and deduce more powerful prescriptions. Therefore, he decided to take time to read more books on this subject in the future. If you have the chance, go to Butterfly Valley to learn medical skills from Hu Qingyu, and see if you can trigger your enlightenment after gaining enough medical knowledge. The second thing to count was naturally the many treasures of heaven and earth collected at the Vajra gate. He looked carefully and saw that there were 40 ginseng roots that were over 100 years old, of which 30 were under 300 years old, and 10 were between 300 and 500 years old. These alone are enough for Yi Qing to upgrade his cultivation from the 2nd level of innate to the 3rd level of innate. This is because he has practiced martial arts at the Yuan Shen level and the Evergreen Kung Fu, as well as martial arts at the Golden Pill level Yin Yang and 5 elements body refining methods. He has an innate level body, and his demand for resources is much higher than that of ordinary innate warriors. If it were another 2nd level innate warrior, these 40 ginseng roots that were more than 100 years old could completely increase the level of 2-level cultivation, or even triple the level of cultivation, to the 5th level of innate cultivation. In addition, there is a 1,000-year-old ginseng and a Tiantian snow lotus. The former has extraordinary medicinal effects and can help warriors at the 6th level of the innate true gang realm break their shackles and break through to the 7th level of the innate true liquid realm. The latter not only has extraordinary medicinal effects, but also has a rich and incomparable power of vitality. As long as anyone is still alive, after taking this Tiantian snow lotus, it can bring him back from the gate of hell, which shows how precious it is. Whether it is 1,000-year-old ginseng or Tiantian snow lotus, they were all rewarded by Yuanting to Huogong Tutuo, and Huogong Tutuo specially left them to the Vajra sect in an attempt to cultivate a strong person in the innate true liquid realm. It's a pity that no one in the Vajra sect can cultivate to the 6th level of innateness, so they never used it, so they stored it in the underground treasure house. As a result, it is now cheaper Yi Qing. Yi Qing doesn't plan to care so much. After using up 40 ginseng roots that are more than 100 years old, he will directly take 1,000-year-old ginseng to improve his cultivation and strength. Because although 1,000-year-old ginseng is extremely precious, as long as someone is willing to sell it, with the huge financial resources of Emperor Liang Yuan's treasure, it is not impossible to buy it. Even if he can't buy it, after his cultivation and strength improve, most people who go to Yuanting will take a walk. Sneaking into the mansions of princes and nobles, such as the palace of Ruyang Prince with great military exploits, and the palace of the beloved 7th Prince, you might be able to get a few In addition, there must be some in the treasure house of Yuanting Palace, and there are a lot of them. However, there are old antiques in the palace, so it is better not to go to death before the strength is insufficient. Unless Zhang Sanfang is allowed to accompany him and help him hold back the old antiques in the palace. But the crux of the question is Zhang Sanfang willing to help him like this? I'm afraid it's a bit confusing. However, there is no chance. The Black Jade Intermittent Ointment is a good stepping stone and can cure Yu Dian. If he waits for another opportunity to rescue Zhang Quishan, the Wudang sect will owe him 2 favors. If the pioneer who secretly took away the 9 Yang manual didn't jump out and rush to treat Zhang Wuji with him, maybe the Wudang sect would still owe him a favor. When the time comes, Yi Qing promises to give some of the harvest from the Yuanting Palace to him or the Wudang clan. Zhang Sanfang may not reject the plan to steal the Yuanting Palace. After keeping this idea in mind, Yi Qing began to count the handfuls of gold and silver jewelry he grabbed. After some rough estimation, it was almost worth 1,000 taels of silver, which was pretty good and enough to cover his various expenses during his travels. If all those boxes of gold, silver and jewelry were moved away, it would be estimated that there would be 200,000 to 300,000 taels of silver. It seems that Vajra Gate is still very wealthy. There are 40 ginseng roots that are more than 100 years old in the sect, and they have trained so many strong men. As a result, they can accumulate so much money. Based on this alone, they are much stronger than the Kongtong sect in the past. After sighing in her heart, Yi Qing sat cross-legged and meditated, and began to study and practice Yi Yang Finger. He currently lacks a more powerful long-range attack method than tapping acupoints through the air, but practicing Yi Yang Finger is just right. Compared with the Yi Yang Finger, although the pure Yang sword qi is more powerful, it is obviously more difficult to practice. It cannot be completed in a short time. Moreover, in the future, to help Zhang Wuji heal the cold and cold qi of the Zan Ming Divine Palm, he will have to rely on Yi Yang Finger. Perhaps it was because of the rapid progress in the early stage of Yi Yang Finger, or perhaps because of Yi Qing's innate cultivation. In addition, after he perfected the innate breathing method, he experienced several times of muscle cleansing and marrow cleansing, and was reborn, which greatly improved his qualifications. It only took him 5 days to cultivate the Yi Yang Finger, which is divided into 9 levels, beyond the entry level of the 9th level into the 7th level, which is equivalent to the completion of the 1 Yang Finger. However, after reaching this step, the difficulty of practicing Yi Yang Finger suddenly increased. If he wanted to practice to the 4th level of Dacheng, even with his qualifications, it would definitely take a long time. So, Yi Qing temporarily stopped and took a good rest during the day. When night came, he put on his night clothes and ran to the Vajra Gate dozens of miles away again. Before leaving the inn, I also sprinkled a layer of tracking powder developed by the Kongtong sect on my belongings to prevent my belongings from being stolen and unable to be recovered after I left. There is no way, these things are too valuable. If the quantity is not too large and it is difficult to move with a sack, Yi Qing would even want to carry it with him to the Vajra Gate. At this time, he was extremely eager to get a space ring or other storage devices. In the previous life of the Earth Star, space rings were something in novels and did not exist in reality at all. But in this modern blue star, there is such a magical existence as the copy space, so naturally there will be space rings, but the value is relatively high and not something ordinary people can get. Not to mention that he was born in an ordinary family, and it was something that a pioneer who entered the dungeon world for the first time could get. Getting back to the subject, after spending about half an hour, Yi Qing came to the Vajra Gate again. When he sneaked in again, he found that the defense of the Diamond Gate was much laxer than it was 5 days ago. Apart from anything else, the number of guards patrolling the Vajra Gate station has been reduced from several to 1 5 days ago. Moreover, they were extremely casual during the patrol, and they seemed not to worry about anyone sneaking in. Feeling a little curious, Yi Qing simply found a room of a Vajra sect disciple and rushed in to control him. After some threats and questioning, Yi Qing finally found out the reason, and it was actually related to his sneaking into the Vajra Gate treasure house 5 days ago. It turned out that when he was in the treasure house and severely injured Gang Shang, the only innate strong man in the Vajra sect, the master of the Vajra sect took some elders and disciples to escort Gang Shang to most of Yuanting that night. This resulted in a sharp decrease in the number of strong men in the Vajra Gate station, and the defense power was naturally reduced a lot. In addition, the treasure house was almost burned by a fire, leaving nothing precious. As for the gold, silver and jewelry in the underground treasure house, only a very few senior officials of the Vajra sect knew about it, but they all escorted Gang Shang away, and the others didn't know about it at all, so what the hell were they worried about? Just like a person with a bare family, would he worry about his home being robbed? I'm afraid if a thief comes, I'll have to curse and leave empty-handed. If we weren't afraid that someone would sneak into the Vajra Gate, not to steal, but to kill the people in the Vajra Gate, I'm afraid there wouldn't even be a single patrol group. After working on it for a long time, the culprit is actually myself. Yi Qing was a little dumbfounded, and then continued to press. How did the Vajra Gate discover someone who had infiltrated, hit the 2 treasure house gate guards, and seriously injured Gang Shang? Unfortunately, this disciple said that he really didn't know, and kept begging Yi Qing for mercy. It seemed that he had realized that the black-clothed and masked Yi Qing in front of him was the infiltrator that night. In this regard, Yi Qing was not merciful. Although he did not kill him directly, he destroyed his dantian and severed his hand tendons and hamstrings, making it impossible for him to practice external martial arts. This can be regarded as completely abolishing his martial arts and turning him into an ordinary person. If this person is usually kind-hearted and kind to others, even if he loses his martial arts skills, there should be someone willing to protect him and allow him to live the rest of his life safely. But if he is usually ruthless and makes enemies everywhere, it will definitely not end well. Therefore, Yi Qing does not need to know whether this person is a good person. People from the Vajra sect will help him identify it. If an accident occurs, there is nothing he can do and he will not feel guilty. In the final analysis, Jingangmin is Yuanting's lackey and does not deserve sympathy. As for the top brass of Vajra sect, will they use black jade intermittent ointment to treat his injuries so that he can practice external skills again? Yi Qing doesn't think so. The black jade intermittent ointment is very precious. How could it be used on a disciple who is in the early stages of acquired life? Since the Vajra sect disciples didn't know, Yi Qing had to spend some time to find a 7th-level Vajra sect elder and subdue him. After some questioning, he finally knew the reason. It's very simple, because the things in the Vajra Gate treasure house are relatively important and of high value. The owner of the Vajra Gate has stipulated that every half hour, many patrol teams must take turns to go to the treasure house gate and ask the 2 elders guarding the gate if anything unusual has happened. At that time, Yi Qing went to the underground treasure house for a while, and it happened to be the time for the patrol to ask questions. When they saw that the elder did not respond, they immediately realized that there was something wrong with the treasure house. They opened the door and saw Gang Shang, who was seriously injured. Then, under the command of Prime Minister Gang, he quickly brought in wine and dry firewood, lit the treasure house on fire, and asked the entire Vajra Gate to extinguish the candles and lurk secretly. After knowing the reason, Yi Qing suddenly realized that it was no wonder that after Gang Shang expressed his full cooperation, he specifically asked how the existence of black jade intermittent cream was leaked. At that time, I naively thought that the other party really wanted to know the reason, and did not see that the other party was stalling for time. Although there was some unexpected gain in passing the blame to Yuan Ting, in the end it was calculated by Gang Shang. That is to say, the people stationed at the Vajra Gate are not strong. Otherwise, my life may be in danger this time. As the saying goes, one learns from every experience. It seems that in the future, before completing the mission or killing the enemy, I can't talk too much nonsense to satisfy the enemy's curiosity. Why do you say that? The villain dies because he talks too much. Although I am not a villain, I still have to take a warning. After figuring this out, Yi Qing immediately felt that his soul had been sublimated, and he had a little more knowledge and understanding of the intrigues in the world. He would not be fooled like this again in the future. At this moment, after knowing the reason why he was exposed in the first place, Yi Qing was not polite and directly wiped the neck of the elder of the Vajra sect. Unlike the previous disciple who was only at the early stage of acquired life, someone who has cultivated to the ultimate 7th level of acquired life has also become an elder of the Vajra sect. He must have made a great contribution to the Vajra sect. As the lackey of Yuanting and the overlord of the nearby generation, Jingangmin must have many fights with others on weekdays. This also means that the elders of the Vajra sect must have blood on their hands and are not worthy of forgiveness. After wiping the blood on the sword clean on the elder's clothes, Yi Qing left the Vajra gate without lingering. Otherwise, what else can be done? It's impossible to stay here forever and wait for Gang Shong and the others to come back, right? I don't know how long I have to wait. Therefore, it is better to write down the affairs that General Shong is planning on you now in a small book, and then go to him to settle the matter when you have a chance to meet him in the future. However, I seem to have forgotten something important. Yi Qing was thinking while rushing on the road. When he successfully returned to the inn room, he finally remembered that the Shaolin Temple seemed to have taken the blame for him. The elder of the Vajra sect mentioned that Gang Shong thought that the faint golden light emitting from his body was because he had practiced the Vajra indestructible body magical skill of the Shaolin Temple, so he wanted to take revenge on the Shaolin Temple. So, the effect of the Shaolin Temple's Vajra indestructible body magic technique should be somewhat similar to that of my own Dragon Tiger golden body technique. It seems that I still have to find time in the future to sneak into the Sutra Pavilion of Shaolin Temple and learn about the Vajra indestructible body magic and the complete golden bell. Perhaps you can use this to understand the follow-up techniques of the Dragon and Tiger golden body technique. As for the yin-yang and five elements body training method, it can only be regarded as a simple and powerful method for tempering the physical body. It is not exactly the same as the external body training method. Even if the cultivation is perfect, it will only allow the strength of the physical body to be broken through, and it will not have the effect of the golden body's true energy protecting the body similar to the Dragon and Tiger golden body skill. In addition, I don't know if the Yijin Sutra and Marrow Cleansing Sutra of Shaolin Temple have been lost. If not, you can also get it and study it to help yourself cleanse your tendons and cut your marrow again, reborn and improve your qualifications. After secretly keeping this in mind, Yi Qing began to practice the eternal skill carefully, striving to practice this skill to the point where it can operate automatically as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would have to spend a lot of time practicing this technique every day, leaving him little time to practice various powerful martial arts. As for how to treat the Shaolin Temple that took the blame for him, Yi Qing said that what no one wanted to happen was that Gang Shong of the Vajra sect admitted his mistake. What could he do? So it's none of his business. Early the next morning, after having breakfast, Yi Qing rode on horseback in high spirits and headed straight for the final goal of coming to the western regions, Tantra. To be precise, he was heading towards the Tantric Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu. Looking at the magical skills in the entire Jin-Yang martial arts world, Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung is definitely a magical skill that cannot be bypassed. This technique has a total of 13 levels, and it will take a person with ordinary qualifications 1,000 years to complete it. During the era of the Condor shooting, the Jinlin Dharma king who had cultivated to the 10th level had palm power comparable to Yang Guo's ecstasy palm. Although he died in Yang Guo's hands in the end, it was enough to show how powerful this technique was. What if you cultivate to the 11th, 12th, or even the 13th level? Wouldn't it be possible to defeat Yang Guo and other masters in the world? It can be seen that in this dungeon world, the complete Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu is a higher level martial arts golden elixir level internal Kung Fu than the top innate internal Kung Fu skills such as the 9 Yang Manual and the 9 Yin Manual. Moreover, you can also practice some external skills, which can greatly strengthen the muscles and bones of the physical body and improve the strength of the physical body, but it cannot increase the defensive ability of the physical body. Despite this, such a technique is extremely rare among the martial arts and golden elixir level internal skills. In Yi Qing's memory of his past life, he only knew of 3 internal martial arts and mental methods that were at the golden elixir level that were comparable in quality to the complete Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu. They are the Immortality and Eternal Spring Kung Fu created by Xiaoyaozi of the Xiaoyao sect, the Yijin Marrow Cleansing Sutra created by Bodhidharma of Shaolin Temple, and the final version of the Tai Chi Magic Kung Fu created by Zhang Sanfang, the founder of Wudang, after many revisions. There should be other martial arts golden elixir level internal skills and mental methods, but Yi Qing doesn't know about it. Among the 3 techniques just mentioned, the immortal Chongchun Kung Fu has not been passed down as a complete technique. Instead, it is divided into Bawang Liuhe Soul Issue Magic Kung Fu, Beiming Magic Kung Fu and Xiao Wu Shang Kung Fu. The possibility of being lost is extremely high. The Yi Jin Jing and the Marrow Cleansing Sutra have also been separated into the Yi Jin Jing and the Marrow Washing Sutra. The former may still exist in Shaolin Temple, but the latter has probably been lost. As for the Tai Chi magic skill, Zhang Sanfeng is just creating it now. The initial version will not be available until the future Battle of Guangmingding. If you want to get the final version, you don't know how long it will take. Therefore, among the martial arts golden elixir level internal skills that he can currently obtain, only Dragon Elephant Prajna skill is the easiest. He was able to deduce the Eternal Green technique from the Eternal Green technique and suddenly realize the Eternal Green technique at the martial arts soul level. If one could observe the complete Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu, I wonder what level of Kung Fu could be deduced. Martial arts Yuan Shen level, or a higher level technique. This also makes a tantric trip a must. In the blink of an eye, a month passed, and Yi Qing finally arrived in Lhasa, the home of Tantric Buddhism. Originally it wouldn't take so long, but because I had to wait for the Kongtong 5 elders to arrive halfway, I slowed down and moved forward slowly. After all, he can't always carry around the world with the top-notch treasures he obtained from the Vajra sect. A big sack like that is too conspicuous, easily missed by others, and will cause a lot of unnecessary trouble. Therefore, before leaving the inn near the King Kong Gate, he sent a letter to Kongtong Pai, asking the 5 elders of Kongtong to come and collect the treasure in person. And brought him information about Tantric Buddhism collected by the Kongtong sect, and added some elixirs for daily practice. Closer to home, after arriving in Lhasa, Yi Qing did not take action immediately. Instead, he found an inn and stayed quietly. While practicing Yi Yang Finger, he collected information and waited for the opportunity. Because according to the information from the Kongtong sect, the Tantra of the Western regions is not simple. Chapter 31. According to information from the Kongtong sect, the state religion of Yuanting is Tibetan Buddhism, and Tibetan Buddhism is the Tantra of the Western regions. Based on this alone, Yi Qing knew that Tantric Buddhism was not simple, its strength was definitely extremely powerful, and it should have a lot of innate warriors. Moreover, Yi Qing seriously suspected that the reason why Zhang Sanfeng did not go to Dadu to behead and assassinate the emperor and civil and military officials of Yuanting was because of the protection of the powerful Tantric sect. Especially the Tantric living Buddha, he is definitely a super master who is not inferior to Zhang Sanfeng because his name is Pasiba. Who is Pasiba? That was the new national master of Mongolia after King Jinlan during the Condor era, and he was more than 10 years older than Zhang Sanfeng. He was gifted with extraordinary talents since he was a child. When Jinlan Dharma King passed away, he was very young, only in his 20s. At the age of more than 20 years old, he defeated many masters of other Buddhist schools in the western regions and became the new national master of Mongolia. This shows how capable he is. Guo Jing later died in Xiangyang City, and Ba Siba must have worked hard. In addition, Pa Siba was also a super strong man in many film and television martial arts novels written by Yi Qing in his previous life. Fortunately, although Pasiba is a living Buddha of Tantric Buddhism, in order to protect Emperor Yuanting, he has been sitting in Dadu and did not stay in Tantric Buddhism. Otherwise, Yi Qing felt that it would be better for him to go back home directly. Although Pasiba is not in charge of Tantric Buddhism, as the state religion of Yuanting, he must have received huge resources on weekdays, and he can naturally cultivate a large number of masters. Unfortunately, although the Kongtong sect is one of the 6 major martial arts sects, it relies entirely on the reputation of its founder Mu Lingxi. After Mu Lingxi's death, the Kongtong sect gradually declined, and naturally not much information was collected about the Tantric sect. Therefore, Yi Qing had to stay in Lhasa for a while and collect it himself. Before you know it, 2 months have passed. During this period, in order not to attract attention, Yi Qing spent most of his time in the inn practicing the Yi Yang Finger, Dugu 9 Swords, and the Evergreen Kung Fu. Every few days, he would go out pretending to be a tourist, visiting the market and inquiring about news. With his efforts, he successfully found out the number of strong men in the Tantric sect. Not to mention the warriors the day after tomorrow, they pose no threat to him. They are mainly innate warriors, who are called Dharma Kings in Tantric Buddhism. There are 3 Dharma Kings in total: Qingshan Dharma King, Red Sun Dharma King, and Lanshin Dharma King. But this is only the situation on the surface, there are probably 1 or 2 Dharma Kings hiding secretly. Although there are a lot of innate warriors in Tantric Buddhism, Yi Qing doesn't particularly care. First of all, with the experience of fighting against gang last time, in terms of mentality, at least he will not be timid. Secondly, 3 months have passed since he left the Vajra sect. He has already mastered the Yiyang finger, and has entered the 3rd level realm. Combined with the chi of the eternal evergreen gong, it is enough to explode the powerful long-range power of the peak of the 5th level of innateness. Dugu Jujian has also taken a big step forward in the realm of Shaocheng, and the strength it has exerted is almost approaching the peak level of the 6th level of innate power. This also made him full of confidence in sneaking into the Tantric sect and stealing the dragon elephant prajna kung fu. After all, the Dharma king hidden in the secret sect cannot be a strong person in the true liquid realm above the 7th level of innateness, right? It was still a night without moon and starlight. Still fully armed in night clothes, Yi Qing took advantage of the surrounding darkness to easily sneak into the Tantric sect. Compared with other people's poor vision at night, Yi Qing's vision will be much clearer after swallowing a lot of bodhisattva snake gall. This is why he always chooses to do trouble at night. At this moment, Yi Qing, who has sneaked into the Tantric sect, is carefully looking for the location of the Tantric Sutra Pavilion. It took him about half an hour to find a 4-story attic deep in the Tantric building complex with 5 top warriors of the 9th level of the acquired day guarding the door. Recalling the situation of the Vajra gate at the time, Yi Qing concluded that this attic must be the main place of Tantric Buddhism, either a treasure house or a sutra depository pavilion. Otherwise, how could they be so luxurious as to use so many acquired 9th level warriors to guard the gate? Although he came to steal the dragon elephant prajna kung fu, if he could steal the Tantric treasure house, it would be acceptable. Thinking of this, Yi Qing swayed and came to the position 3 feet in front of the attic door. He pointed out his hands one after another, and in an instant, he stopped the 5 people in front of him from the air without showing any movement. Looking at the 5 people who could not move, Yi Qing became more and more satisfied with the effect of acupoints in the air. Then, he passed over the 5 people and gently pushed open the attic door, revealing the scene inside. When he saw the rows of books, he suddenly felt happy. It seemed that he was very lucky and found the Sutra Pavilion in no time. When he walked in and looked through the books, he realized that the bottom floor of the attic was filled with Buddhist scriptures. It seems that the secret martial arts secrets of Tantric Buddhism are all on the floor above. Without the slightest hesitation, Yi Qing immediately followed the stairs to the 2nd floor. Sure enough, he saw a large number of martial arts secret books, including those from major Buddhist sects in the western regions, as well as from various sects. It's a pity that the quality of these martial arts secrets is acquired. So he could only continue going up to the 3rd floor. The number of martial arts secret books here is much smaller, there are probably dozens of them, but correspondingly, their quality is also much better, they are all innate level. But there is still no dragon elephant prajna kung fu, not even other martial arts of Tantric Buddhism. It looks like it should be on the 4th floor at the top. Yi Qing continued to move upward. The moment he stepped onto the 4th floor, he immediately felt a surging palm force, comparable to the 5th level of innate power, coming from behind. Faced with this sneak attack, Yi Qing didn't seem surprised. Because he had been prepared for it. How could it be possible that such an important place as the Sutra Pavilion did not have a Tantric Dharma king of the innate realm sitting in command? It's not like Tantric Buddhism can't produce innate warriors. Therefore, from the moment he stepped onto the 2nd floor of the Tantric Sutra Pavilion, he never let down his guard. At this moment, I saw his right hand pulling out the sword from behind at an extremely fast speed, turning around and stabbing, Dugu 9 swords, breaking palm style. In an instant, the unique sword energy attached to the sword defeated the palm force that sneaked up on him. Seeing that the tip of the sword was about to pierce the palm of the attacker, the man bent his entire arm and palm and dodged in a very awkward posture. Seeing this, Yi Qing showed surprise on his face. Is this the supreme yoga tantra of Tantric Buddhism? Although some people were surprised that the sneak attack was not hit like Gang Shang, his attack was not over. He stretched out his index finger with his free left hand, and immediately a strong finger energy flew out and shot towards the attacker. Seeing the powerful finger force coming towards him and going straight to his heart, the attacker's expression changed. He had just used the Tantric Supreme Yoga Tantra and it was too late to use it again to avoid the finger force. I can only bite the bullet and let my other hand slap out with one palm, the supreme grand mudra of Tantric Buddhism. It's a pity that the secret technique that was exerted in a hurry could not exert its full strength at all. After colliding with Zuulan in the void, there was only a roar and was wiped out by Zuulan. Fortunately, with this short delay, he had already mobilized the innate true energy in his body and concentrated it in his heart to protect his body. There was another loud noise, and the person who attacked was knocked away directly. If it hadn't been for the innate true chi protection just now, I am afraid that the finger force would have pierced the heart. Despite this, he was still injured by the force of the counter shock due to the collision between his finger strength and his innate energy. The blood in his body surged, and traces of blood overflowed from the corners of his mouth. Upon seeing this, Yi Qing did not pursue the victory and launch a fierce attack on his attacker. Instead, after taking a look at the layout of the fourth floor, he transformed and went straight to the place where the martial arts secret books were placed. After all, he was here to steal secret books, not to kill people. Although he relied on early precautions, he not only diffused others' sneak attacks, but also injured the opponent, but the opponent was an innate 5th level strongman after all, and the injuries on his body were only minor injuries. It is simply impossible to kill the opponent in a short period of time. As time goes by, the other 3 Dharma kings of the Tantric sect will come to support him. It is still unknown whether he can defeat him at that time, but under the siege of 4 innate realm Dharma kings, he will definitely not be able to steal the secret book. Therefore, it is better to find the dragon elephant Prajna Kung Fu first. Fortunately, he was lucky. When he came to the place where the secret books were stored, he found that there were only a dozen secret books, each placed on the bookshelf. But the dragon elephant Prajna technique was placed right in front of him. After briefly flipping through it and confirming that the secret book was complete and contained all the 13 levels of cultivation methods, Yi Qing immediately put it into her arms. At this time, the innate Dharma king who had been knocked out by him finally stood up and saw Yi Qing's actions and immediately shouted, "What a thief, in front of my Dharma king Chungkong, you still dare to steal my secret knowledge, you are seeking death." Quote. The sound was so loud that it immediately resounded throughout the entire Sutra Pavilion and even spread outside the Sutra Pavilion. It immediately attracted the attention of many Tantric monks. 3 powerful forces erupted from 3 directions not far away from the Sutra Pavilion, and they rushed to support as quickly as possible. In the Sutra Pavilion, while Dharma King Chungkong was speaking, he used the Tantric Mahamudra again and flew towards Yi Qing. Seeing this, Yi Qing used one yang finger with one hand to fight against the big hand seal, forcing the opponent to slow down. With the other hand, he frantically grabbed other secret books on the bookshelf and put them directly into his arms without looking at the names. Anyway, the secret books that can be placed here should be of good quality, at least they are all top-notch innate skills. After a breath, he had already picked up 4 secret books from the bookshelf. When he was about to reach out for the 5th book again, King Chungkong was already in front of him. The surging palm power was even stronger than before, reaching the 6th level of innate strength. It seemed that the opponent had probably used some kind of secret technique to temporarily increase his strength. Seeing this, Yi Qing had no choice but to stop grabbing the secret book, and instead swung his sword, using the breaking palm move, breaking the big hand seal with one sword, and launched a counterattack. Now he must defeat the opponent as quickly as possible and escape from the Tantric sect. Otherwise, it will be a bit troublesome when the other 3 innate level Dharma kings of the Tantric sect arrive. It's a pity that Dharma King Chungkong also knew this and did not confront him head-on. Instead, he mainly focused on fighting an entanglement, and firmly restrained him in the Sutra Pavilion. The price paid by King Cheng Kong was more than 10 blood stains on his body. There was no way, even if he used secret techniques to improve his combat power, it was still far behind Yi Qing's peak combat power of the 6th level of the Shantian realm. Even if he relied on the Supreme Yoga Tantra, he could not completely avoid the attacks of Dugu's 9 swords, causing the swords to leave scars on his body. After about 20 breaths, Yi Qing, who was constantly suppressing his opponent, suddenly felt a fist force, a leg force and a palm force coming towards him from 3 different directions. Their power was at the 5th level of innate power, which posed a considerable threat to him. This forced him to give up attacking his opponents and use the Dugu 9 swords to defeat these 3 attacks. Bang bang bang. As soft sounds came out one after another, the strength of the fists, legs and fingers were all destroyed by the Dugu 9 swords. Looking around, Yi Qing immediately saw 3 old monks breaking in from the window of the Sutra Pavilion, and together with Dharma King Chungkong, they formed a square posture and surrounded him. There was a trace of solemnity on Yi Qing's face. You 3 should be the 3 great innate Dharma kings in Tantric Buddhism, Qingshan Dharma King, Red Sun Dharma King, and Lan Xin Dharma King, right? I didn't expect that in front of the person. He looked kind, but behind him, he was just like Dharma King Chungkong. They were all insidious old guys who liked to carry out sneak attacks. After hearing this, Dharma King Qingshan among the 3 people immediately scolded, "How presumptuous! Little thief, return me the secret knowledge of Tantric Buddhism as soon as possible and catch me without any help. Repent sincerely and convert to Tantric Buddhism. Then we will not care about your sins today. Otherwise, we, the 4 great Dharma kings of Tantric Buddhism, will make it impossible for you to come back today." Hearing this, Yi Qing sneered, "It's just you. What a shame. Kill." After shouting loudly, Yi Qing took the initiative to launch an attack, and his target was Qingshan Dharma King, who had just stepped out to scold him. Upon seeing this, Dharma King Chungkong immediately warned, "Junior brother Qingshan, be careful, this thief's swordsmanship is a bit weird, it seems to be designed to defeat our boxing skills and innate chi." When Qingshan Dharma King heard this, he was happy and unafraid. He clapped his palm with extremely powerful force. There was a faint sound of dragon roaring, which collided with Yi Qing's broken palm and chi-breaking styles. "Senior brother, don't worry. My dragon elephant prajna skill has reached the 9th level, which is only 1 step away from the 10th level of the original Jinlin Patriarch. This boy will definitely not be able to stop me." However, as soon as he finished speaking, Qingshan Dharma King saw that his dragon elephant prajna kung fu palm strength was destroyed by the opponent's sword technique. His expression changed drastically, and it was too late to stop his palm. He could only watch helplessly as Yi Qing's sword pierced his palm. Suddenly, another Dugu 9 swords victim appeared. "Ah!" A scream rang out from the mouth of King Qingshan. He actually advanced instead of retreating. He endured the severe pain and let his pierced palm tightly grasp Yi Qing's sword, and slapped it hard with the other hand. Out! At the same time, the 3 other Dharma King Red Sun, Dharma King Lan Xin, and Dharma King Orange Kong from 3 directions have also surrounded them, using their unique skills to bombard Yi Qing. Yi Qing wanted to draw his sword and defend himself, but he felt a strong resistance. It took him a breath to pull the sword out of the palm of King Qingshan, but it was obviously too late. At the critical moment, he also became ruthless. He gave up the sword and pressed his hands together in the air. Immediately, 2 yang-fingered chi flew out and collided with the dragon elephant prajna kung fu palm power of King Qingshan in front of him. Together. The reason for doing this is because he still has 5 secret books of tantric secrets in his arms. He must take action to block the palm power of King Qingshan, but he cannot let the secret books be destroyed by the opponent. One of the pointing chi was destroyed together with Qingshan Dharma King's palm power, while the other pointing chi penetrated the intact palm of Qingshan Dharma King, causing the opponent to scream again. Seeing this result, Yi Qing had no time to rejoice, and immediately activated the Dragon and Tiger Golden Body skill, causing her body to emit a faint golden light. There was a loud bang, and the fist, leg and palm strength from behind instantly shattered the golden light barrier and hit Yi Qing hard, knocking him away. On the way, Yi Qing's body collided with the body of King Qingshan, knocking him away. At this time, Yi Qing, with quick eyes and quick hands, grabbed his sword, and with the help of the power of being knocked away by himself and King Qingshan, he easily pulled out the sword and took it back. After landing, he spit out a mouthful of blood, then rolled and quickly stood up, holding the sword tightly in his hand, looking at the 4 Dharma Kings gathered together with cold eyes. Of the 4 opponents, except for Dharma King Red Sun and Dharma King Lan Xin, who were completely intact, Dharma King Qingshan's 2 palms were pierced by a sword and pierced by a yang finger. They looked extremely miserable. And King Chungkong has more than a dozen blood stains on his body. Perhaps it was because Yi Qing knew that Yi Qing, who had the sword in hand, was extremely threatening, or perhaps it was to delay time for King Qingshan and King Chungkong to heal their injuries. The 4 of them did not take action immediately. Instead, they used their innate power to lock Yi Qing to prevent him from escaping. At the same time, the Red Sun Dharma King asked, "Who are you?" The finger technique you just performed is clearly the Yang finger of the Duan clan in Dali, but the technique used to withstand the attacks of the three of us seems to be the Vajra indestructible body magic technique of the Shaolin Temple in the Central Plains. If it weren't for this magical skill, even if you didn't die just now, you would have been severely injured, and you would be unable to resist anymore. Seeing that Shaolin Temple took the blame again, Yi Qing's mouth couldn't help but twitch, and she felt silent for Shaolin Temple. She didn't mean it. Really? Then do you think I am from the Duan family in Dali, or from the Shaolin Temple? Since the other party wants to delay time, Yi Qing is happy to cooperate. In terms of self-healing ability, the Eternal Green Kung Fu is not inferior to any other technique in this world. In addition, the attacks of the three Dharma Kings Hongri, Lan Xin, and Cheng Kong just now were first offset by 30% of the power of the Dragon Tiger Golden Body skill. The remaining 70% of the power, even if it can break the defense of his innate level physical body, is still left. Running out. This means that his injuries are not serious. Relying on the Eternal Green technique, it won't take long for him to recover as before. At this time, Dharma King Lan Xin seemed to have discovered something was wrong and exclaimed, "Three senior brothers, something is not right. This person's injury is improving rapidly. Let's suppress him quickly." Qingshan, Hongri, and Chengkong took a closer look, and sure enough they found that Yi Qing's face, which was still a little pale before, had become much more rosy, and most of her breath had recovered. "Is this okay?" Not daring to hesitate at all, the four Dharma Kings immediately launched an attack. Among them, King Qingshan, whose hands were pierced, also chose to use the secret method of Tantra in order not to affect his own power. Not only did he suppress the pain and injuries, but he also improved his combat power, reaching the 6th innate level. At this time, 2 of the 4 Dharma Kings can explode into the 6th level of innate combat power, and the remaining 2 are also at the 5th level of innate combat power. The 4 of them thought that with their current strength, they could defeat each other. But they didn't expect that the mystery of the Dugu 9 swords displayed by Yi Qing exceeded their imagination, and he just neutralized most of their attacks. The remaining part must be resisted by his physical body. It was only at this time that the 4 Dharma Kings finally discovered that Yi Qing's physical body had been cultivated to the innate level. Even if the Vajra indestructible body magic just now was broken and could not be used again in a short period of time, it could still withstand part of their attacks, which made them feel a little frustrated. In fact, Yi Qing was also a little aggrieved. His Dugu 9 swords could be used both offensively and defensively. He anticipated the enemy's opportunity, but he forced him to use all-out defense. Because he was worried that the situation just like that of Qingshan Dharma King would happen again. The 4 Dharma Kings would rather have their own limbs injured than restrain his sword. As a result, without the sword in hand, his Dugu 9 swords would not be able to exert much power, let alone the attacks of the 4 Dharma Kings. At this time, the benefits of having a real magic weapon were revealed. If he had a magic weapon like the Yishan sword in his hand, he would not worry at all that the 4 Dharma Kings would use their limbs to restrict the Yishan sword. Because doing that will only cause their limbs to be instantly cut off by the heavenly sword. If there is no magic weapon, unless you have perfected the Dugu 9 swords and condensed the sword intention, you don't have to care about the quality of the sword in your hand. With the blessing of sword intent, even ordinary swords can show the sharpness of a divine weapon. It's a pity that Yi Qing's Dugu 9 swords is still far away from perfect cultivation. After the 2 sides clashed with each other for more than 10 moves, Dharma King Red Sun and Dharma King Lan Xin finally couldn't bear it anymore and used secret techniques to increase their combat power by 1 level, reaching the innate 6th level. At this point, the 4 great Dharma Kings of Tantric Buddhism all unleashed their innate 6th level combat power. After joining forces, they were no less powerful than those at the 7th level innate true liquid realm, and they steadily suppressed Yi Qing. Suddenly, Yi Qing's situation became precarious. Seeing that his injuries were gradually getting worse and the situation was getting worse, Yi Qing could hardly help but use the Kongtong sect's unique 7-injury fist. Even though 7-injury fist is just an ordinary innate level secret skill, its quality is not as good as Yi Yangji, and it is far inferior to Dugu 9 swords, but the key is that Yi Qing has perfected this skill. If he activates the 7-injury fist, the power he can unleash is no worse than the Dugu 9 swords at the junior level. In addition, the 7 strands of fist power contained in the 7-injury fist contains the power of yin and yang and the 5 elements. It specializes in attacking the enemy's internal organs and breaking the balance of yin and yang, so it is extremely difficult to defend against. Even the true 7th level Shantian will be afraid of him. While suppressing Yi Qing, he will also be severely injured by the 7-injury fist. However, after the 4 great Dharma kings of Tantric sect have joined forces, they are still a little short of the 7th level of innateness. If Yi Qing specializes in 1 or 2 people with the 7-injury fist, he can definitely severely damage them and break the current situation immediately. As soon as the 7-injury fist is released, the possibility of his identity being exposed is extremely high. It's not that the 4 Dharma kings will directly identify him as a member of the Kongtong sect, but after that, they will definitely inform the living Buddha Pasiba of the matter, and then ask Yuanting to send people to investigate the Duan family in Dali, the Shaolin Temple and the Kongtong sect group. Although Yuanting is declining, it won't take long if we just investigate the forces of the 3 sects. By then, Yi Qing's identity will definitely be hidden. Yi Qing doesn't want to reveal his identity just yet, otherwise what would be the point of hiding his identity by sneaking into the Tantric sect this time? Therefore, he finally endured it. Unless it was a real life and death crisis, he would use the 7-injury fist to break the situation. Although the current situation is not good, it is not without other opportunities to break the situation. With this in mind, when Yi Qing used the Dugu 9 swords, he changed from the state of all-out defense, and instead took the initiative to fight back from time to time. His target was none other than King Chungkong. Because this person is the first to use the secret technique, this means that the time when his secret technique ends will be the earliest. In addition, before the arrival of the 3 Dharma kings Qingshan, Hongri and Lan Xin, he was hit by swords more than a dozen times because he wanted to hold Yi Qing back, leaving more than a dozen deep blood marks on his body. If there is no fighting, or the fighting is not very fierce, these blood marks will be nothing. King Cheng Kong has already tapped the acupuncture points to temporarily stop the bleeding. But the battle just now was so fierce that a lot of blood oozed out from these blood marks, and it was impossible to stop the bleeding with acupuncture. And this has somewhat affected the state of King Chungkong, making his reaction much slower than the other 3 kings. After all, too much blood flow can lead to insufficient blood supply to the brain and cause dizziness. If it weren't for the help of the other 3 Dharma kings and the strong willpower of Dharma King Chungkong, he might have been unable to hold on long ago and was severely injured by Yi Qing. It is precisely for this reason that Yi Qing chose to use King Chungkong as a breakthrough point. While defending against the attacks of the other 3 kings, he began to actively attack King Chungkong. Even if the 3 Dharma kings continue to help, Yi Qing cannot stop Yi Qing. He has already identified Dharma King Chungkong. Sometimes, even if he resists the attacks of the 3 Dharma kings, he still has to attack Dharma King Chungkong and cause him a certain amount of injuries. In this way, when Yi Qing's own injuries worsened, the injuries on King Chungkong also continued to worsen, and his dizziness continued to deepen. Finally, after the 2 sides fought for more than 100 moves, King Chungkong was seriously injured, causing the time of his secret technique to pass in advance, and the backlash came. A feeling of weakness swept through his body, which not only made his strength plummet, but also made him unable to suppress the dizziness in his mind. He staggered and his body was crumbling. When Yi Qing saw this, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he realized that the time had come to break the situation. He immediately stepped forward and struck out with a palm. Even if it was just an ordinary palm, it directly knocked King Chungkong away and knocked him unconscious on the spot. At this moment, one of the 4 Dharma kings was gone, and there were already flaws in the encirclement and killing force. If the injuries on his body were not serious and his condition was no longer at its peak, Yi Qing would definitely have to turn around and fight the other 3 Dharma kings, waiting until they had finished their secret techniques and suffered backlash, and then killed them in one fell swoop. But now, Yi Qing can only choose to escape quickly from the empty place. Not only that, when he rushed out of the 4th floor window of the Sutra Pavilion, Yi Qing pointed out a finger in the air, and burst out a powerful yang finger-pointing qi, heading towards the head of Dharma King Cheng Kong, who was 5 or 6 feet away. Upon seeing this, the 3 Dharma kings who were chasing him hesitated for a moment, then decided to stop and intercepted Yi Qing's Yiyang finger chi to save the life of Dharma King Chungkong. There is no way, there are only 3 of them now. Even if they catch up, they may not be able to kill Yi Qing. They may even be counter-killed, and Dharma King Chungkong will also die under the influence of Yiyang finger. If that were the case, they would probably be nailed to the pillar of shame of Tantric Buddhism and be infamy for thousands of years. Therefore, letting Yi Qing leave and saving the life of Dharma King Chungkong is the most correct choice. As for those secret esoteric skills, just throw them away. They are all manuscripts anyway, and these secret skills are not so easy to practice. Not many people can practice them to a high level. Even if he is really mastered by Yi Qing, it doesn't matter. As long as he dares to expose the traces of practicing these special skills in the world, there will be people from wanting to investigate to the end. When Yi Qing's true identity is found out, the living Buddhas of their Tantric sect will take action to kill him and recover the secret book. On the other side, Yi Qing took advantage of the darkness and quickly escaped from Tantric Buddhism, returned to his inn room in Lhasa City, and immediately started running the eternal green gong to heal his injuries. Time flies by and the next day soon arrives. Relying on the powerful vitality of the eternal youth Kung Fu, Yi Qing's external injuries have healed, and her internal injuries have also healed by 90%, which will not affect the performance of her strength. Looking outside from the window of the inn, it seemed that the entire city of Lhasa was not under martial law, and no one came to investigate. Yi Qing also breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the Tantric people chose to suppress what happened last night and did not publicize it. Think about it, so what if it is publicized? The 3 innate Dharma kings are probably still in the weak stage of the backlash of secret techniques. Ordinary acquired warriors pose no threat to Yi Qing at all. Rather than publicize it and affect the image of Tantric Buddhism in the minds of the majority of believers in Lhasa, it is better to suppress the matter and investigate it secretly. However, just in case, Yi Qing had no intention of staying in Lhasa for a long time. He packed up his gifts early in the morning, checked out normally, and left Lhasa calmly on his horse. He was not worried that after he left, the Tantric people would find out his temporary stay record in the Lhasa Inn. Because not long after leaving Lhasa, he directly took off a human skin mask from his face, revealing his true face. There is no doubt that since he entered Lhasa 2 months ago, he has not used a human skin mask to cover his true face. Therefore, people who are not afraid of Tantric people are secretly investigating him. Not only this trip to Tantric Buddhism, but also the previous trip to Vajra Gate, as well as the trip to Zhuwu Lianshan Villa and Mingzhou Guangmingding. Every time he did something at night, he put on the night clothes and the human body. Leather mask. Sure enough, the human skin mask is indeed a must-have for home travel, murder and arson. It's a pity that there is no special disguise technique in this dungeon world. Otherwise, after he learns it, he can change his appearance at will without having to carry a disguise mask. Although this mask is good, it is still very limited. There is only one other face that can be used. If you want to use another new face, you must spend time and energy to recreate the disguise mask. Closer to home, after Yi Qing left Lhasa, she ran all the way. After running for about 300 to 400 miles, from morning to nightfall, I passed an unknown town and stopped to find an inn to rest. He wanted to run directly back to the Kongtong sect, but there was no way. Lhasa City was too far away from Kongtong. With the speed of ordinary horses, it could not be reached in a day or 2. Even if he is riding a sweaty horse that can travel thousands of miles a day and 800 miles a night. In addition, an ordinary horse will be tired after running for a day and needs a rest, so he will stop. People who want to come to Tantra are not so quick to track them down. So, Yi Qing simply took out all the secret books that she had snatched from the Tantric sect in the inn room, and prepared to read them one by one. There are 5 secret books in total. In addition to Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu, Yi Qing doesn't know what martial arts the other 4 books are. I took a closer look at the cover. They were Tantric Mahamudra, Sakyamuni Elephant Throwing Technique, Supreme Yoga Tantra, and the Spiritual Dharma of Transforming the Heaven and Strike the Earth. This immediately made him very happy, because these 4 secret books were all unique secrets of Tantra itself. In particular, the Supreme Yoga Tantra is the top technique of Tantric Buddhism, probably not inferior to the dragon elephant prajna kung fu, otherwise it would not be labeled with the word supreme. In addition, there is the spiritual method of changing the sky and striking the earth, which is also famous in I Ching's memory. It is a spiritual miraculous power that can detect and confuse other people's thoughts, and can make anyone reveal their innermost secrets. It is extremely terrifying, even better than the ecstasy method in the 9 Yin manual. However, what makes I Ching feel strange is that shouldn't this technique be a technique in the world of shattered void? How could it appear in this Yishan world? Is it because there is also the Tantric living Buddha Pasiba in the Yishan world? Maybe he will know the answer when he reads the specific contents of the secret book later. Thinking of this, I Ching couldn't wait to open the first secret book, Tantric Mahamudra. In his memory, the Tantric Mahamudra did not seem to be very good. Master Lingzi during the Condor shooting period used this technique, and the result was extremely crotch-stretching. But he didn't want to wait until I Ching read all the contents of Tantric Mahamudra. Then he realized that it was not the Tantric Mahamudra that was not good, but the spiritual master who was not good at it. He had not practiced it at all, and he was probably just getting started. Even Dharma King Chungkong, who previously guarded the Tantric Sutra Pavilion, had only practiced this martial art to a minor level. If you achieve great success in cultivation, you will be able to explode into the 6th level of innate power at the 5th level of innateness without using any secret techniques. If the cultivation is complete, its power will be almost comparable to the 7th level of innate power. Because this is a top innate secret skill, its quality is not inferior to the Yiyang finger in I Ching's hand. Not only that, when he read the entire cheat book, his heaven-defying understanding was activated. You have read the Tantric Mahamudra, and you have understood it perfectly. If you feel that the Zen meaning of Tantric Mahamudra is not yet complete, and there seems to be room for improvement, then study and deduce it carefully. You deduced successfully and created the Tathagata palm, Buddha moves mountains and rivers. A huge memory emerged, making I Ching's face light up. It was actually the famous Tathagata palm. Although it is only the 3rd form of Buddha moving mountains and rivers in the palm of Tathagata, its power is extremely extraordinary. With just this palm, it has reached the golden elixir level of martial arts, no less than the Dugu 9 swords obtained before. Moreover, the moves of Buddha moving mountains and rivers are simple, just like the Tantric Mahamudra. There are no fancy skills. It can be pushed out horizontally with one palm. It is not very difficult to practice. Unexpectedly, she got off to a good start just after flipping through the first cheat book. I Ching couldn't wait to flip through the second cheat book, Sakyamuni Elephant Throwing Gong, and read it carefully. You have read the Sakyamuni Elephant Throwing technique, and you have understood it to perfection. You feel that Sakyamuni's elephant throwing technique seems to contain some profound truth, so immerse yourself in it and understand it carefully. You succeed in enlightenment and understand the true meaning of exerting force. With the blessing of true meaning, your power will be doubled. A flood of memories made I Ching understand what the true meaning of power is. Simply put, it is a kind of artistic power. As long as he mobilizes this power during battle, he can double the power he explodes out of thin air. What an exaggeration! If after casting the Dugu 9 swords, and then adding the true meaning of force, the strength would be doubled, wouldn't it be comparable to the 7th level of innate strength? The only flaw is that Junyi's energy is limited and can only support his all-out fighting for a quarter of an hour. After the energy is consumed, it takes a whole day to recover, but there are no side effects. I Ching summarized it. The true meaning of power he realized was equivalent to a secret method that could only be used once a day and lasted for a quarter of an hour each time, but without any side effects. Although the blessing of the true meaning of power is not long, at the critical moment, it is enough to change the outcome of a battle. For example, in the previous battle between him and the 4 great Dharma kings of Tantric Buddhism, if he had understood the true meaning of power at that time, with his strength doubled, he could easily defeat the 4 Dharma kings and even kill them. Then, he will plunder all the remaining secrets of Tantric Buddhism. He has just read the 2nd book of Tantric Secrets and has gained so much. This makes I Ching increasingly look forward to what the remaining 3 books of Tantric Secrets will allow him to deduce and comprehend. With this idea in mind, he quickly opened the 3rd book of Supreme Yoga Tantra. After some reading, Yi Qing discovered that the Supreme Yoga Tantra is indeed a tantric technique that is not inferior to the Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu. It is definitely a golden elixir level secret in martial arts. And it is also a unique skill that can be practiced both internally and externally. Different from Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu, practicing Supreme Yoga Tantra does not depend on qualifications, but on understanding and dharma, but the main thing is understanding. Because people with high understanding will find it easier and simpler to learn and understand Buddhism. Therefore, the profound dharma of tantric people does not mean that they have high understanding, but for people with high understanding, the dharma must be profound. As long as the dharma and understanding are higher, the progress in practicing Supreme Yoga Tantra will be faster. Generally, it only takes a few decades to complete this practice. This kind of efficiency is much better than that for people with ordinary qualifications who need thousands of years to perfect the Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu. In addition, the body training part of the Supreme Yoga Tantra also has the effect of cleansing the muscles and marrow, and reborn, which can turn people who originally had high understanding but poor qualifications into geniuses with high understanding and high qualifications. When you complete the body training part of the practice, you can develop the magical power of a 6-foot-long golden body, and you will become a Buddha. With so many powerful effects, it is no wonder that the Supreme Yoga Tantra is dubbed the word, supreme, and has become the most powerful secret of Tantra. Just when Yi Qing was thinking like this, his heaven-defying understanding was activated. You have read the Supreme Yoga Tantra. Unfortunately, you do not have enough understanding of Buddhism to fully understand this practice. You then find another way and set your sights on the body training part of the Supreme Yoga Tantra. With your hard work and understanding, you will successfully understand the Supreme Yoga exercise method. You find that the Supreme Yoga body training method seems to be complementary and integrated with your Dragon and Tiger Golden body skills and the Yin and Yang 5-element body training methods. You begin to deduce it carefully, trying to complete and perfect this skill. The deduction is successful, you have perfected the Dragon Tiger Golden body skill. As a huge memory emerged, Yi Qing gradually became familiar with the new content of the Dragon Tiger Golden body skill that he had deduced with his incredible understanding. By the time he absorbed all the memories, he had already fully comprehended the new Dragon Tiger Golden body skill. I have to say that it is indeed a fusion of 3 exercises, 2 of which are martial arts golden elixir level body training methods. The perfect Dragon Tiger Golden body technique is much stronger than the previous Dragon Tiger Golden body technique. Its quality is impressively that of the martial arts golden elixir level, and it is also the top external skill among the martial arts golden elixir levels. It is only one step away from the martial arts soul level. Before this, Yi Qing was still worrying about the Dragon and Tiger Golden body skill, how to create innate level content, and also thought about going to the Shaolin Temple to steal the complete golden bell cover and the Vajra indestructible body magic skill in the future. Unexpectedly, today, because of the physical training part of the Supreme Yoga Tantra, I got what I wanted. Not only did I create innate level content, but I also created martial arts and golden elixir level content. For a long time to come, you won't have to worry about doing external exercises anymore. As for not being able to fully comprehend the complete Supreme Yoga Tantra, Yi Qing felt a pity, but she didn't really care. Firstly, he has little understanding of Buddhism, and secondly, he has the everlasting Kung Fu. Even if he realizes the inner strength of martial arts at the soul level from the complete secret of Supreme Yoga, he probably will not be able to practice it. After all, the Eternal Green technique is essentially Taoist, while the Supreme Yoga Tantra is the secret of Buddhism. Putting this matter behind him, Yi Qing couldn't wait to read the 4th secret book, The Spiritual Method of Transforming the Sky and Striking the Earth. For a quarter of an hour, when he finished reading carefully, he realized that this technique was far inferior to the spiritual method of transforming the sky and striking the earth in the world of shattered void. It was essentially just a top-notch innate level secret. The main reason why it can become a secret skill of Tantric Buddhism and rank alongside other techniques is that it was created by Phasapa, the living Buddha of Tantric Buddhism and the master of Yuanting. It is a miraculous skill that specializes in spiritual power and is extremely rare in the world. Although it can also confuse people's minds and make people subconsciously reveal any secrets hidden in their hearts, the effect is not particularly powerful. At most, it can only confuse innate level warriors. Facing a warrior at the golden elixir level of martial arts, it can only slightly interfere with the opponent's mental power. Moreover, according to the records in this secret book, when Pasiba created this technique, he also understood and learned from the thoughts and mysteries of the Ecstasy Dafa chapter of the 9 Yin Manual. I don't know what my heaven-defying enlightenment ability can comprehend from this technique. You have read the spiritual method of changing the sky and striking the earth, and you have understood it to perfection. You find that this is a rare book that specializes in spiritual power. You are very interested in it and study it carefully. After successful enlightenment, you have obtained the prototype cultivation method of Yuan Shen. In an instant, a large number of memories appeared, making Yi Qing immersed in them. After he finished absorbing and digesting it, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he was extremely satisfied with the cultivation method of the prototype of the soul. Normally speaking, something like the prototype of the primordial spirit can only be cultivated by a martial arts golden elixir level powerhouse and a martial arts golden elixir perfection level powerhouse. It is to prepare for the attack on the martial arts primordial spirit. Nowadays, this cultivation method of the prototype of the soul not only includes the content of cultivating spiritual power, but also how to temper the spiritual power, and how to open up the sea of consciousness and condense the content of the prototype of the soul in the innate realm in advance. Among them, the content of cultivating spiritual power is more subtle than the spiritual method of changing the sky and striking the earth, and the speed of increasing spiritual power is about 10 times faster. This means that after Yi Qing practices this technique, it won't take long for his mental power to skyrocket. In the future, I will have enough confidence to face Yuanting Imperial Master Ba Siba, and I won't have to worry about being suppressed and controlled by the other party's mental power. On the contrary, if you do not have enough mental power, no matter how much innate energy you have and how strong you are, you will not be able to withstand Pasaba's mental attack. After sighing for a while, Yi Qing finally looked at the last secret book of Tantric Buddhism in front of him, and the one he had the greatest expectations for, Dragon Elephant Prajna Technique. Unlike the Supreme Yoga Tantra, this practice does not require any Buddhist restrictions and can be practiced by everyone. This also means that with his incredible understanding, he can comprehend this technique to perfection, deduce and comprehend martial arts at the soul level, and even trigger epiphany and obtain higher level techniques. Time passed by. No matter how long it took, Yi Qing finally read all the contents of Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu. It has to be said that Dragon Elephant Prajna Gong, as the supreme dharma protecting magical skill of Tantra, cannot be compared with the supreme Yoga Tantra in terms of status, but its strength after perfecting the practice is definitely not inferior to the supreme Yoga Tantra. In essence, Supreme Yoga Tantra is about cultivating Buddhism, and body training and the cultivation of true energy are considered incidental functions. The Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu is specifically used to practice martial arts to protect the Tao and Dharma for those who practice Tantric Buddhism. Therefore, it is understandable that this technique is powerful. According to the secret book, as long as you practice Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu to the 10th level, which is the original realm of King Jinlin, you will be able to step into the innate true liquid realm. The completion of the 10th level is the peak perfection of the innate true liquid realm. If you can practice to the 11th level, you can break through to the realm of martial arts golden elixir and enter the early stage of martial arts golden elixir. The 12th level is the middle stage of the golden elixir of martial arts, the 13th level is the late stage of the golden elixir of martial arts. After completing the 13th level, you can reach the peak of martial arts and golden elixir. If someone can practice to this point, they will already be among the small group of people who stand at the top of the golden elixir masters of martial arts in the past. It can be seen from this that the person who created the Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung must have been a famous person from the Tantric sect of Buddhism in the western regions or even the Buddhist sect of Tianju. It's a pity that this matter has disappeared into the long river of history with the passage of time. Of course, this matter is not important. Yi Qing just felt a little emotional about the founder of Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu. He quickly put aside his emotions and began to look forward to the results after his heaven-defying understanding is activated. You have read the Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu, and you have fully understood the Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu. If you find that the Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu seems to be unfinished, and contains the true meaning of power, then study it carefully. When you are enlightening, you find that the new Dragon Tiger Golden Body Kung Fu, which was just completed and perfected not long ago, can bring a lot of inspiration to the dragon elephant prajna kung fu, so you try to deduce the fusion. During the deduction process, your spirit and will unknowingly sense the heaven and earth, enter the state of unity between heaven and man, and begin to have an epiphany. Successful epiphany, you created Dharma level martial arts, dragon elephant golden body kung fu. In an instant, a huge memory appeared in Yi Qing's mind. After he completely absorbed it, he fell into ecstasy. He didn't expect that when his heaven-defying understanding was activated, he would once again enter the enlightenment state of the unity of heaven and man. As a result, the martial arts that was supposed to only be able to perform martial arts at the Yuan Shen level has been upgraded to a new level and has become the primary martial arts of Dharma. The last time this happened was when I was studying the top innate secret wood spirit evergreen technique created by the founder of the Tong Sect, Mu Lingxi. I crossed 2 levels at once, and thus suddenly realized the eternal youth technique at the level of the martial arts primordial spirit. Moreover, this Dharma level dragon elephant golden body skill is an external skill. It combines all the advantages of dragon elephant prajna skill and dragon tiger golden body skill, and greatly enhances it. It is a real physical training method. Sure enough, Tantric went to the right place this time. He directly improved his external skills from the innate primary level all the way to the Dharma primary level, spanning 3 major realms in the middle, which is really incredible. The most important thing is that this dragon elephant golden body skill does not conflict with his eternal youth skill. One external and one internal can be practiced at the same time, making his foundation, heritage and potential far superior to those of warriors of the same realm. After a while, Yi Qing's excited heart gradually calmed down. Looking at a ray of sunshine coming in from the window, I suddenly realized that it was already dawn without even realizing it. Excluding the time spent reading and deducing the 4 secrets of Tantric Mahamudra, the time spent on the enlightenment of the dragon elephant prajna kung fu took almost a whole night. Fortunately, this place is relatively far away from Tantric Buddhism, so it is considered a safe place for the time being. If he had chosen to stay in an inn in Lhasa to read the 5 secret books of Tantric Buddhism, who knows whether the Tantric Buddhism people would take advantage of his enlightenment period to search his room and kill him. By then, even if you can't kill him, I'm afraid it will interrupt his enlightenment and make him lose the great opportunity to suddenly realize the dragon elephant golden body skill. Therefore, when he left Tantric Buddhism the night before yesterday and returned to the inn in Lhasa, he preferred to meditate all night instead of reading 5 secrets of Tantric Buddhism because he was worried about such a situation. It wasn't until I rode horseback all day long and was far away from the secret treasure that I read the secret book last night. It seems that in the future, no matter what magical skills you have acquired, if you want to read them, it is best to find a safe place. Otherwise, it would be really unfair to be destroyed or even killed when the epiphany was triggered. After keeping this idea in mind, Yi Qing packed up her things and went downstairs to have breakfast. After a while, after filling up the temple of the 5 internal organs, he rode on his horse and set off again. In this way, he rode a horse during the day and practiced the Yi-Yang finger on the horse. At night, he found an inn to rest and meditate, practicing the everlasting internal power. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. His injuries had long since healed, and he finally returned to the Tong Sect. Looking at the Tong mountain gate in front of her, Yi Qing was filled with emotion. This time I went on a trip to look for opportunities. I went to Xiangyang first and then to many places in the western regions. It took a total of more than 8 months, nearly 9 months, which is not a short time. In addition, he killed the Bodhisattva snake in the Sword Demon Valley, fought against Gangxiang in the Vajra Gate, and fought against the 4 great Dharma kings in Tantric Buddhism. His combat experience has also become very rich. It can be said that this trip is worthwhile. Just as he was sighing with emotion, the 2 disciples guarding the gate of Tong Sect seemed to have discovered Yi Qing, and immediately shouted towards the door, "It's the leader, come quickly, the leader is back." Quote. Within the Tong Sect, the disciples who heard this voice stopped practicing martial arts and gathered towards the mountain gate. However, within a short period of time, a large number of Tong Sect disciples appeared at the mountain gate. After seeing Yi Qing approaching, they all saluted respectfully, "We are waiting to welcome the leader." This voice was so loud that it immediately spread throughout the entire Tong Sect and was known to everyone in the sect. So, the remaining disciples and elders put down what they were doing and came to greet them. We are waiting to welcome the leader. Don't blame the disciples and elders of the Tong sect for being too enthusiastic. Yi Qing really gave too much. Since Yi Qing joined the Tong sect, all the disciples and elders of the Tong sect have begun to live a good life, with a lot of resources being spent on them every day. Perhaps they didn't know why at the beginning, but after Yi Qing took over as the leader, the 5 elders of Tong spread the news about Yi Qing giving out 100,000 taels of gold when he became a disciple. Let everyone know that they can live a good life without worrying about resources, all because of the contribution of the leader. Afterwards, although the matter of Emperor Liang Yuan's treasure was not spread, everyone's resources not only did not decrease, but actually increased a lot. This made everyone think that the 100,000 taels of gold contributed by the leader had not been used up, or that the leader had taken money from home to subsidize the Tong sect. In addition, half a year ago, Yi Qing reported back to the Tong sect about the bodhisattva bending the snake, which excited the entire sect. Many disciples, led by the elders in the sect, went to the 10,000 snake forest outside Xiangyang City to hunt the bodhisattva snake, and they really gained a lot of benefits. How could they not love and admire such a leader who brought huge benefits to everyone in the Tong sect? After taking some time to communicate with many disciples and elders of the Tong sect, Yi Qing followed the 5 masters of the Tong sect and returned to his courtyard, telling them the general story of his trip. I don't know how long it took, but when Yi Qing finished telling the story, Tong Wulao's eyes widened, feeling that nothing that happened in his life seemed to be as exciting as Yi Qing's more than half a year. In addition, I was shocked by the many opportunities and the powerful strength of their direct disciples and the 3rd-generation leader of the Tong sect. In terms of opportunities, I won't go into detail about the bodhisattva snake, black jade intermittent ointment and its elixir prescriptions. All kinds of secret techniques have become as common as cabbage. The Dugu 9 swords of Sword Demon Valley, the 2 secret arts of Zuwu Liangwan Villa, and the 5 secret arts of Tantric Buddhism add up to a total of 8 secret arts. Not only are they more in number than the Tong sect, but the quality of most of the secrets is even higher than that of the Tong sect. Dongpai is strong. This is because Yi Qing has not come up with the secret technique that he deduced and suddenly realized, otherwise the 5 elders of Tong may faint from excitement. In terms of cultivation strength, the realm of internal strength cultivation has entered the 2nd level of innateness, and the realm of physical body has also entered the 2nd level of innateness. The strength under normal conditions is comparable to the peak of the 4th level of innateness. After using some ordinary special skills, it is comparable to the peak of the 5th level of innate skills. After using the top secret skills, it can be compared to the peak of the 6th level of innateness. If you use another secret technique, you can also possess the 7th level of innate combat power in a short period of time. Such strength is not much different from that of Mu Lingxi, the founder of their sect. According to Yi Qing's growth rate, I'm afraid it won't take more than a few years to catch up with or even surpass Grandmaster Mu Lingxi. At this moment, the 5 elders of Tong felt that the most correct thing they had done in their lives was that they had enjoyed money and accepted Yi Qing as their direct disciple. Otherwise, how could the Tong sect be as prosperous as it is today? Even if we want to regain the power we had at our peak, we may not be able to do so in time. After a while of emotion, Guan Nang, the eldest of the 5 elders of Tong, said, "Disciple, with your current cultivation and strength, we cannot guide you in martial arts training. But I can still help you with other chores. If you have something you don't want to waste time on, just tell us. We and the entire Tong sect will do our best to help you." The other 4 people also agreed. Yes, we will do our best to help. Yi Qing thought for a while and replied, I really have some things that I don't have time to do, so I need the help of 5 masters. Trouble 5 masters to help me collect medical skills and medical experience written down by many charlatans. Although we have brought back the black jade intermittent ointment and its prescription, we are still not sure whether it is genuine or not. The ointment is okay. It can be confirmed by wild beasts or bully villains, but the prescription won't work. So, I want to learn about medicine in my spare time while practicing martial arts. Firstly, to confirm the authenticity of the medicine, but also to see if I can develop other better medicines. The 5 elders of Tong nodded and said, Don't worry, this matter will be taken care of by us. Besides, is there anything else? Yi Qing heard this and continued. I have basically told the 5 masters about my experience in the past 6 months. Not long ago, when we were fighting against the 4 great Dharma kings in Tantric Buddhism, it would have been much easier if we had a real magical weapon. Instead of being like that time, in order to hide my identity, I didn't dare to use our Kongtong sect's 7-injury fist to break the situation. I can only bite the bullet, use an ordinary sword, trade injuries for injuries, and wait until the secret technique of King Orange Kong backlashes, and then I successfully escape. So, I hope the 5 masters can help me find someone to build a magic weapon. No matter how much money I spend, it doesn't matter. Anyway, there is still a lot of money for Emperor Liang Yuan's treasure. Besides, there are still more than 9 months until Master Zhang's 100th birthday. After this, I plan to invite Master Zhang to sneak into the capital of Yuanting to steal many princes, civil and military officials, and the palace treasure trove of Yuanting. If there is a magical weapon to help, safety will be greatly improved. As soon as these words came out, the 5 elders of Kongtong suddenly screamed, "What? Are you going to steal the Yuanting palace, the treasure troves of hundreds of civil and military officials, and many princes?" No, absolutely not. It's too dangerous. Seeing this, Yi Qing explained. Don't worry, 5 masters, I'm not going now. There are still more than 9 months until Master Zhang's 100th birthday. With the speed of my cultivation, if I consume high-level resources regardless of the cost, by the time I go to the capital, I should be able to raise my cultivation level to the 3rd innate level, or even the 4th innate level. When the time comes, my strength will be comparable to the 8th and 9th levels of innate strength. Coupled with a magical weapon and the following of Zhenren Zhang, even the Yuanting palace will not be afraid. After hearing Yi Qing's explanation, the 5 elders of Kongtong thought for a while before reluctantly agreeing. Okay, we will do our best to help find a skilled swordsmith to forge a real magic weapon. Quote. But the ugly thing is ahead. If we haven't found someone to create a magical weapon, or if Master Zhang doesn't go to Dadu with you, you must not go alone. Yi Qing nodded. 5 masters, don't worry. The person in charge of the Yuanting palace is most likely the former Mongolian national master, the Tantric living Buddha Pasiba. He is older than Zhenren Zhang and majors in spiritual power. In the past, when Xiangyang City fell and the northern hero Guo Jing died in Xiangyang City, the Mongolian imperial master Ba Siba should be one of the culprits. Otherwise, with Guo Daxia's powerful cultivation in the true liquid realm, the Mongol Khan Kublai Khan at that time would definitely suffer heavy losses if he wanted to kill Guo Daxia with ordinary soldiers. It is impossible not to kill tens of thousands of elite soldiers. Kublai Khan was not willing to bear this consequence at that time. He would probably let the Mongolian martial arts masters fight against Guo Daxia. In this case, the Mongolian national master Pasiba must be one of them. Ba Siba can team up with other masters to kill Guo Daxia. Although this is because Guo Daxia is unwilling to escape, Ba Siba's strength is also evident. Today, more than 70 years have passed since the battle of the fall of Xiangyang City. Ba Siba, who has lived for hundreds of years, must be even more terrifying, and his mental power must be extremely powerful. If Zhang Zhenren, who is about to turn 100 and is equally powerful in martial arts and mental strength, had not restrained him, I would not dare to run to Yuanting Palace alone at this stage. After receiving Yi Qing's promise, the 5 elders of Kongtong finally felt relieved and sighed about the original battle of the fall of Xiangyang City. Yes. Guo Daxia and his wife Huang Nuxia died in the city in order to fight against Mongolia, the predecessor of Bao Yuan. When we martial arts people heard this, who wouldn't give a thumbs up? Actually, Patriarch Mu Lingxi often sighed when we took care of him in his later years. After I got the opportunity in Kongtong Mountain, I devoted myself to practicing Taoism and martial arts. I did not participate in the Battle of Xiangyang City and contributed to Hero Guo and Xiangyang City. I regret it. So, the patriarch later came out of the mountain. After hearing about this incident, he even inquired about the cause of death of Mr. Guo and his wife. According to what the founder himself said, Hero Guo died in the battle at Xiangyang City not only because he was older, his energy and blood had declined, and his recovery ability was not as good as before, but also because he was besieged by 3 top powerhouses from the Mongolian side. One of them is the Mongolian master Pasiba you just mentioned. He is also the most famous one. The second one is a bad-tempered and vicious monk. Rumor has it that he is a traitor to the Shaolin Temple. The Shaolin Temple in the western regions was founded because he could not be caught. The third one is a master of the evil sect in the world. Like the founder, he is a Taoist. His name is Taoist Beishu. His famous secret skill, Xuanming Divine Palm, was famous in the world. He committed many crimes, countless murders. Since Pasiba is a Mongolian master, the patriarch could not go to him. The second monk disappeared and could not be found. The patriarch had no choice but to focus on Taoist Beishu, who often traveled around the world. After the founder achieved great success in martial arts, he fought against Taoist Beishu many times. It was not until the year before his death that he finally killed Taoist Beishu almost 29 years ago. It was precisely because of that battle that our ancestors' vitality was damaged. He only lived for more than a year and died at the age of 91. Otherwise, with the health-preserving effects contained in the patriarch's wood spirit evergreen technique, it would be no problem to live to the limit of 2 years of an innate strong man. Although the founder lived 30 years less, we can feel that before his death, he was obviously very advanced, as if he had made up for his past regrets. After listening to the words of Kongtong 5 elders, Yi Qing suddenly realized that she had answers to some of her doubts about her previous life. No wonder Taoist Beishu's 2 disciples, Zanming and others, as well as people from the Jinggang sect, have been working for the Prince of Ruyang since the plot of Yishan. It turns out that it is because Taoist Beishu and Huogong Tutuo have already taken refuge in Yuanting. And he has been wondering, in whose hands did the famous Taoist Beisheng die? According to the content of the original plot, the way Zhang Sanfeng talked about the death of Taoist Beishu and the Xuanming Divine Palm was enough to prove that Taoist Beishu was not killed by him. With his strength at the time, he probably couldn't kill him. In the past life, Yi Qing saw someone on the internet guessing that it was Guo Shang, but Guo Shang was only 3 years older than Zhang Sanfeng, and even if his martial arts were better than Zhang Sanfeng at that time, he was not much better. She can defeat Taoist Beishu, but she shouldn't be able to kill him unless she has the thought of dying together. And Guo Shang has been trapped by love in her life. As the saying goes, when they first met at Fenglingdu, they missed Yang Guo for life. How could such a strange woman die with others? This is really not her character. Moreover, she was hurt by love and became ill with longing. Generally, she would not live long. It is very likely that she would have died of illness before Taoist Beisheng died. Therefore, the only person who could kill hundreds of Taoists was Mu Lingxi, who was even more famous at that time. This was also confirmed by the 5 elders of Kongtong. It was Mu Lingxi, the founder of their own Kongtong sect, who killed the opponent at the age of 90. When Yi Qing thought that the death of Taoist Beishu was related to his ancestor Mu Lingxi, Yi Qing felt that keeping the 2 elders Zanming would be a disaster. Whenever possible, try to get rid of them. They had not taken revenge against the Kongtong faction before, perhaps because they did not know the reason for the death of Taoist Beishu. Or maybe they know the reason, but because the Kongtong sect has declined, and the Ruyang Palace is planning the world, and wants to wipe out all the major sects in the rivers and lakes to serve Yuanting, the Ruyang Palace does not allow them to do it. Now, once they learn about the rise of the Kongtong sect and the specific news about Yi Qing, the 2 elders Zanming may feel uneasy. It is very possible that despite the order of the Prince of Ruyang, he will eradicate the Kongtong sect to avenge his master, lest the Kongtong sect become stronger and eradicate them. It doesn't matter when Yi Qing is still in charge of the Kongtong sect. If he is not in charge of the Kongtong sect, but the 2 elders Zanming come to kill him, who can stop the entire Kongtong sect? I'm afraid it won't be the end of annihilation. The best opportunity to kill the 2 elders Zanming is Zhang Sanfeng's 100th birthday in more than 9 months. When the time comes, they will also appear and want to use Zhang Wuji to threaten Zhang Sanfeng. If this opportunity is missed, the 2 elders Xuanming and Ming will huddle in Ruyang Prince's mansion and wait until Zhao Min grows up in 10 years before following Zhao Min out of the mansion. That would be too difficult to wait. After silently writing down the decision to kill the 2 elders Zanming in the little notebook in his heart, Yi Qing began his days of hard training in the Kongtong sect. He traveled for more than 8 months, except for Xiangyang Sword Demon Valley and the bottom of Kunlun Jingshan Peak. Because he had swallowed a lot of heavenly materials and earthly treasures, he could feel his rapid progress in cultivation. The rest of the time, I rely entirely on myself to absorb the energy of heaven and earth to practice hard, and I also have to spare energy to practice various martial arts. The speed of progress in cultivation is really slow. Fortunately, he has returned to the Tong sect and has an unlimited supply of various medicated meals, medicated baths and elixirs. Especially the many hundred-year-old ginseng and the thousand-year-old ginseng that were stolen from the treasure house under the Vajra gate, he had no intention of keeping. Whether these ginseng is made into medicinal diet, taken into medicinal baths, or refined into elixirs, it can be quickly absorbed and refined, causing one's own cultivation to skyrocket in a short period of time. Only the Tianshan snow lotus, he plans to leave it to the Tong sect and keep it as a treasure. Once he leaves in the future and an important figure in the Tong sect is fatally injured, he can use it to heal his wounds. Time passes day by day. Unknowingly, a month has passed since Yi Qing returned to Tong sect. During this month, he consumed an average of 2 ginseng sticks per day, and in only 20 days, he consumed all 40 ginseng sticks that were more than a century old. This also caused his inner strength cultivation level to quickly rise from the early stage of the second level of Shantian to the peak of the second level. The external skill cultivation of Dragon Elephant Golden Body skill has also been promoted to the second level of innate peak. It's a pity that if he chooses only one option and only improves his internal strength or external strength, I'm afraid he has already broken through to the third level of innate strength. But it doesn't matter, the strength after improving both internal and external skills will not be worse than the strength gained after single improvement. The last 1,000-year-old ginseng was so precious that the alchemist of the Tong sect spent 100,000 taels of silver to purchase and mix it with dozens of equally precious auxiliary medicines that were aged. Finally, an elixir similar to the Shaolin Great Return pill was refined, named Kongtong Guiyuan pill. There are 10 pills in total, and each pill can enhance the skill of an ordinary innate warrior for 20 years. If you take too much in a short period of time, you will develop resistance, which will continuously reduce the effectiveness of the medicine. If a warrior eats it the day after tomorrow, his skill will be improved by as much as 1 jazi. However, Yi Qing is not an ordinary person. His foundation and background are much stronger than those of ordinary innate warriors, and he can also practice external skills. After he took the Kongtong Guiyuan pill, the increase in his skill was only 4 years, and it had to be divided evenly between internal and external cultivation. In the end, after he completely refined the Guiyuan pill, his internal and external skills were only improved by 2 years, which really disappointed him. The only thing that makes him feel lucky is that because his internal and external skills are of very high quality, he can completely refine the power of the Guiyuan pill without having to worry about his body developing resistance. In this case, the total increase in his skill after taking multiple Guiyuan pills will be more objective. This is exactly what happened. It took 2 days to refine 1 Guiyuan pill. In the last 10 days of this month, he took a total of 5 Guiyuan pills, which increased his internal and external strength at the same time, 10 years of skill. Relying on the 10 years of skyrocketing skills, Yi Qing successfully broke through the shackles not long ago, allowing his internal and external skills to both break through to the third level of innate skills. Yi Qing doesn't plan to take these 5 pills left. Because after his cultivation breakthrough, although the effect of the Guiyuan pill on him has not changed and it can still increase his skill for 4 years, the upper limit of his skill has increased. The previous 5 Guiyuan pills allowed him to break through from the peak of the second level of Shantian to the early stage of the third level of Shantian, but the next 5 Guiyuan pills could not allow him to advance from the early stage of the third level of Shantian to the middle stage of the third level. This can be regarded as a disguised form of reducing the efficacy of the Guiyuan pill. Therefore, unless he has a large amount of Guiyuan pills, it is not cost-effective to only take the remaining 5 pills. It is better to leave it to the 5 elders of Kongtong. Their current cultivation levels have all reached the 8th level of acquired cultivation. The acquired internal energy in the Dantian, driven by the innate breathing method, has all been transformed into innate true energy in a few years. And their original qualifications were ordinary. Even with the continuous improvement of the innate breathing method in the past few years, they were not much better. After refining the Guiyuan pill, if not 20 years of skill, it would be at least 15 years or more. Relying on the extra 15 years of innate true energy, they might be able to break through the realm quickly and reach the innate realm. Even if it is not possible, it can be greatly reduced and the time for breakthrough to innateness will be reduced in the future. So, after making the decision, Yi Qing called the 5 elders of Kongtong and gave each of them one of the remaining 5 Guiyuan pills. After Yi Qing's explanation, the 5 elders of Kongtong did not show any pretense, and immediately took the Guiyuan pill, sat cross-legged, and began to refine it. Yi Qing was protecting them from the side. In his induction, the power emanating from the 5 elders of Kongtong was increasing little by little with time. In just half a day, the 5 elders of Kongtong successively broke through from the 8th level of the acquired world to the 9th level of the acquired world. 3 days later, the cultivation of the 5 elders of Kongtong has reached the peak of the acquired 9th level. They are probably condensing the bridge of heaven and earth, hoping to join the outside world and break through the innate. When the time came to the 7th day, the 5 elders of Kongtong finally completely refined the Guiyuan pill, opened their eyes, and showed a trace of regret on their faces. Obviously, they failed to take advantage of this opportunity to break through Shantian in one fell swoop. However, Yi Qing did not see too much frustration on the faces of Kongtong 5 elders. After the 5 elders of Kongtong explained, Yi Qing realized that most of the bridge between heaven and earth they built at Dantian was actually completed. The remaining few parts can be completed in as little as 3 months or as long as half a year, allowing them to successfully break through to the innate realm. In this way, the 5 elders of Kongtong can participate in Zhang Sanfeng's 100th birthday as an innate strong man. I don't know how many people will be shocked at that time. In the original plot, He Taichong, the Kunlun sect who looked down on the Kongtong sect and did not accompany Zhang Sanfeng to welcome the arrival of the 5 elders of Kongtong, will he regret it and want to slap himself twice? Yi Qing is looking forward to this. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.